I will call this meeting to order, the Board of Directors meeting number 133 for February 25th, 2026, of the Eastern Regional Service Board. First up on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. So moved, second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Review of the minutes from the January 28th, 2026 meeting. Be it resolved that the minutes from the January 28th, 2026 be adopted to this table. So moved, second by Rod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Country carried. Tonight we are privileged to have a special presentation from a group called EcoNext. And Laura Barron is the CEO, and Miss Audrey Parnell is manager of the circular economy, which we're all somewhat familiar with. So we'll get a little bit more of an education on that. And I will turn it over to you guys. If any of those of you are not familiar with EcoNext, I guess you will explain to who you are and what you all do. They were formerly known as NIA and rebranded themselves about 5-6 years ago now, I guess.
It's 2021.
21, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So we were the Newfoundland Labrador Environmental Industry Association.
Right.
And now we're EcoNext. So Holly, are you going to look for?
Craig, and I got to send it to him. Bear with me just for a second. I gotta send it over.
I can just speak anyway.
Yeah.
What's most helpful for you to see is what Audrey's going to share. So no pressure, Audrey. So I'm Laura Barron, CEO of EcoNext. I just started working with the organization just over 6 months ago. So I'm still fairly new to the role, learning a lot, getting to know our members and our partners. And so for those of you who are not familiar, EcoNext is a not-for-profit industry association that's focused on economic development that's environmentally sustainable. So we have about 200 members across the province that work in all industries, all sectors. We have 18 staff currently, myself and Audrey included, 14 of whom are focused on projects, and we have 12 big active current projects. And I'll speak about the areas that we focus on in that work. We also, like any industry association, have a series of events throughout the year. So we have an annual conference, we have socials, we have training opportunities, we have industry awards, and all those exciting things that industry associations do. So in terms of what we focus on, especially in terms of our projects, is we have 3 pillars. So the first is innovation. So we work on quite a few research and development and innovation projects that are looking at environmental challenges, economic growth opportunities in the province. And to give you an example of something that we're currently working on, we have a marine transportation decarbonization project. And that's focused on reducing greenhouse gas emissions here in the province. So as you may know, about 44% of our greenhouse gas emissions here in the province are transportation, public transportation, and about a quarter of that is from marine transportation. So we're working with the province, we're working with the Marine Institute's launch facility in Holyrood, the town of Holyrood, and several other partners to actually test the use of renewable diesel, blending in with traditional diesel in different types of vessels, to see how engines respond, and to basically use it as a use case showing that it can work. The next slide, please. Oh, thank you. And that renewable diesel is being produced right here in the province in by Brea Renewable. So it's a really interesting project. In the workforce pillar, the second piece, thank you for the slides. This is a growing area of focus for the organization. There's a lot happening in this space in terms of upskilling, in terms of working with newcomers, really getting that labor market development for many of our members they're all employers in the province, and they're having serious challenges getting the labor and the skilled labor that they need in their organizations. So one example of a project that we're working on is Roots. And that's focused specifically on newcomers and helping them get the job ready skills like interview skills, networking skills, and then ultimately placing them in internships with employers in the province that are focused on the green economy. So economic growth, again, that's environmentally sustainable. And then the third pillar is net zero, and that really encapsulates everything we do. You know, as I mentioned, supporting the province in reaching net zero goals. We do quite a lot in terms of working with industry, businesses, communities in finding that balance between economy and environment. And Audrey will get into specifics about what we're doing in terms of circular economy, diverting waste from landfills, finding other value for products that would otherwise end up as waste in landfills. And Audrey leads that work in our organization. And next slide, please. And this is my last one. So to give you a little bit of an update of what I've been working on in the last 6 months is developing a new strategic plan for the organization. So we've been doing a lot of engagement with our members and our partners about specific challenges in the province, what we can focus on, what we can help support. And so that's informing, our strategic direction. Those pillars that I just spoke about will actually change a little bit, but the areas of focus will continue to be similar. Our core is unchanged, as this slide says. But the last thing I want to mention to you is that ultimately we're here to serve businesses and the communities in our province. And we're always open to new collaborations and partnerships. So if, in your communities, in your work, you find that they're up against a challenge in this kind of green economy space, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out anytime. And specifically on the circular economy focus, Audrey is the lead and she would love to hear from you. So I'll leave it at that and then I'll hand it over to Audrey.
And if you do forget about hearing about it here tonight, we are also a part of M&L's Tomorrow Town. So if you're familiar with the offering between M&L, you can find us there. And we have a lot of support we provide for communities with respect to climate adaptation and climate mitigation. So if you're concerned about, we were talking about fire breaks earlier today. So if you have questions about that, you can find us through M&L and we can put you in touch with one of our other 16 employees who is specialized in doing kind of climate adaptation and mitigation work. So the next slide. So my role at EcoNext, I was not the first person to have this role, but it was created in 2022 in partnership with the MMSB. So thank you so much to Charles and for refunding us again in 2024, with really the idea to increase economic activity around waste diversion and to really find a way to valorize waste within our province. So what I have shown here is just a nice schematic. The leftmost one would be showing our typical linear model of economic development, which is really we extract something, manufacture it, it gets distributed, it's used, and then it winds its way back up into the landfill. So this is how most goods and services exist today in the world, of which only about 7% of the world represents this kind of circular space in which we take a good and we can either choose to reuse it, we can choose to repair and fix it if something has gone wrong with it prior to making it to the landfill. If it's something we no longer need, we find Facebook Marketplace and we redistribute that to somebody who would need that within our communities. It could be something like a used car, or maybe we recondition the product before we then resell it to somebody else. And then the ultimate last step in the circular economy is really recycling. So it's finding as many off-roads as we can before we get to that final recycling stage to reuse goods and services within our communities. And so next slide. What we've done over the past year, my role kind of spans several different projects within the overall lens of circular economy. So we do quite a lot of one-on-one business connection and support. So we're out trying to, while we've typically been Metro St. John's and kind of Avalon focused, we really are a provincial organization. So our goal is to really reach out and help support businesses across the province that are working to reduce the waste, as well as the regional service boards across the province as well. And so we work a lot with kind of one-on-one with businesses, and then we also spend a lot of time doing work with kind of larger groups. So we developed a great series for youth ventures to help teach the youth venture coordinators about the importance of the green economy and supporting young entrepreneurs and getting started in making environmentally sound and circular choices. We've been fortunate to partner with M&L. We've been really fortunate to go to the regional forum with Charles and spend a lot of time talking with other regional service board. Fortunate through my role as well to go to the Canadian Circular Economy Summit to really see what's happening elsewhere in Canada and kind of what the landscape looks like for circular economic practices from coast to coast, which is really great. And then also I was fortunate to attend the Compost Council of Canada meeting to really again see what the landscape of organic waste diversion looks like across the country. And then hopefully I got a slide coming up. We're trying very hard to bring that conference here in 2027. So stay tuned for that. Next slide, please. And then another big part, and this is what I spoke about in a little more depth last time we were here a year ago, is we do have a circular economy incubator. So this is really to capture kind of some of the entrepreneurial ideas that exist within our communities here in the province and to support them in a comprehensive, holistic program whereby they can go from taking an idea and if by the end of 6 months in our free virtual program, they will have a complete business plan and pitch deck. And so we were really fortunate. We only had about 6 weeks that we had to promote it last year. We have just kicked off our promotional period last Monday. We've already had 3 applicants so far, which we're really excited about. But we were able to have 13 applicants. We had 9 that we accepted. They crossed the entire province. We wound up having 7 graduate. Each venture was paired with a mentor. We were really lucky to have experienced people from all throughout the province who stepped up and said, yes, I'm really interested in being a mentor and provided quite a lot of support, which was really lovely. We also had over 28 people within our province deliver content as part of our incubator. So people who were experienced entrepreneurs, people who taught finance at the CNA, as well as having their own business. We had a great group, 2 different panel discussions about how do you finance your small business, both with MMSB and ACOA and IET, and then a second panel that included NLCU, TD, and a venture capital firm here in the province, Polaris. So our entrepreneurs were exposed to lots of different other businesses and mechanisms for making their business a success. Of our 9 accepted businesses, 45% were run by women, 75% would either be racialized or Indigenous owned businesses, and 67% were new entrepreneurs. So we really were capturing quite a nice cross section of people in the province. All of them said they would continue working on their venture, which we think is really lovely when we surveyed them afterwards. So hopefully there will be more to come. And then the next slide, these are the 7 that graduated. So the venture that won. And on the previous slide, I have a link, which is our piece. We went on the Signal with 2 of our venture members. So the venture that won was Relab Arts, and she is a PhD student at Mon, and her venture is around repurposing non-hazardous laboratory waste from the university and turning it into household decor and custom art pieces. So taking quite a lot of plastic waste, or apparently the Earth Science Department, every year they order new rocks and they throw away the old rocks. And so thinking about, can we keep those materials from finding their way to the landfill? So something that's kind of maybe a bit more bespoke and art, but then we have people such as MME Energy, who his goal, Michael, who he works a day job at a bank, and then he's got this great idea, which is to take organic waste and turn that into animal feed, which would help our farmers because we wouldn't have to import feed. We'd be taking organic waste and we would be turning that into something that would be very beneficial, and it would have a huge reduction in carbon footprint as well as averting organic waste from the landfill. So he's very passionate about this project. He's been talking with a lot of big food producers here in the province who have waste from their factories and figuring out a way to turn his idea into a reality. We have people who are interested in making home gardens from 3D recycled plastic. people that are looking at trying to generate renewable energy from the products of our wastewater treatment facilities through degasification. A woman who is doing ecotourism out in Norris Point and kind of making her space with all reused materials and having her tourist site be as low waste as possible. We have a gentleman who's working to develop an app to support his existing product line, and then a process related to valorization of used tires to turn that into fuel sources. So really spanning the whole gamut from something that's very industrial, technical, to people that are trying to take a look at what happens in their everyday lives and how can they go about reducing the waste within their communities. So we were really excited to see this whole breadth of the spectrum. So we're excited that hopefully our next go around. So if you know anyone that's interested in starting a business or has this idea, or if you yourself go, wow, I make a lot of Tim Hortons cups, that maybe there's a solution there. And what's really nice about our program, again, it's free, but we really don't require that people have a set idea in mind. We recognize that this idea can change over the course of the incubator, and that by the end, they'll feel comfortable and confident that they will have, with the support of their mentor and the support of the EcoNext staff, turn this into a viable business. And what's nice as well is a lot of the incubator programs we have in the province right now are really centered around the university. And so if you're not a university student or affiliated with the university, it can be very challenging for you to take this step into entrepreneurship. And we've been able to support people who are working day jobs, who have other passions that they're currently pursuing. But this is an idea that's been kind of tickling the back of their mind for a while, and we're able to help them make that a reality. And so the next slide. Again, we're really trying to focus on organic waste. We recognize that this is 30% of what goes to the landfill. And so how can we think about ways in which we can successfully divert a lot of this material and turn it into something better or more useful for the communities. So I was fortunate as I went with Justin of the MMSB, and obviously there's many types of scales of technology that exist when it comes to modern organic waste disposal. It's really many sizes, depends on exactly what you want to do, how much waste you have. You could have a beautiful sea can that has an auger within it that does that for you, or there's larger, more sophisticated windrow techniques. I will say, from what we've seen, no one is really making money off of compost. So from coast to coast, I had yet to talk with someone who said, this is making me $5 million a year selling this compost. A lot of them are working to do this because it just reduces their overall organic waste contribution into the landfill, or they are, for example, a wastewater treatment facility that's then diverting that sludge into some sort of compostable material that they then are able to provide to their residents at a very low to free cost. But our goal, like I mentioned, is to really try and bring the Compost Council of Canada conference here in 2027. And so we are trying to think about what would be great projects that we have happening here in the province that we could then use to speak at the conference. What are site tours that we could have where people could then from around the country come and see the great work that we have here in the province, and really begin to think about what might be the legacy of this event and how might we use this as an inflection point for organic waste diversion for the province. So just something to kind of think about. If you have an idea or something that you know about in your community, we would love to hear about it. And so again, Charles and I are trying very hard to convince them this is the place to come. But they are not easy people to pin down, as you might expect from people who work in compost. Next slide. So I think this is our last one, as Laura mentioned, we're really here to help. So if there's anything that you need support from, if there's a project or an idea you have floating around. I know the last time I was here, we had spoken. I remember, Tom, you're passionate about mattresses and diverting mattresses from the landfill. So we were really fortunate that we were able to get some counts from Robin Hood Bay We've also been working this with the central waste management as well, Central Regional Service Board. And they've been providing mattress counts as well. So I'm working very hard with Amy Toll of Home Again to try and bring forward mattress recycling study and pilot project to understand how we might be able to make that a reality here in the province, as it is pretty common everywhere else in Canada that mattresses are diverted from the landfills. So any ideas you have like that, or things you've heard about from other jurisdictions, we're more than happy to try and pursue that and figure out how we can make our landfills last for as long as they possibly can. And be as safe and clean and environmentally sustainable as we can.
Cool.
Any questions?
Any question, Greg? I don't know if you can hear us. You there?
I can indeed, yeah.
Give you first question.
Sorry, folks, the audio button keeps cutting in and out on me here. No, I just great presentation. Apologies for not being able to make it here in person today, but looking forward to the continued discussion here.
Perfect. Sandy.
We did a tour of Nova Scotia about 10 years ago. We did 3 organic sites. And basically it turned us all off. It was horrible. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. That's the smell was unbelievable. Then when they finished, they couldn't use the job. So it goes in, usually what comes out. So when you collect stuff from residents, then there's too much in there. Has that been changing? Is that any better?
It's very tricky, and so like the keynote speaker was a person who's a professor of like organic waste, like he's a process engineer. And he was giving an example, I believe, from Guelph, where at one point they had designed this like great compost facility, but they didn't like put in proper ventilation. The roof rusted, and so like water would leak in and contaminate, right? So it's, you have to be very thoughtful in how you create and set up these systems, because if you don't, you wind up with tons of odor problems. And that's why some of these really 21st century high-tech systems are very appealing, because you can literally have a sea can with like a bunch of air filters, and all are inside it. It's got a panel on the outside that's like telling you what the temperatures are, how long it can sit for. So it is becoming ever more techified and 21st century compatible. I think there is a question of, you know, how much volume do you have? You always have to be very mindful, right? Of what is it you're mixing in? Do you have enough leaves and trees and bark and mulch to mix in with your organic waste? So that way it's not just making lots of gross smells.
Then I wonder the cost of that.
That's what I think is very tricky. And so the projects I had seen that had been doing these really sophisticated ones were for Indigenous communities in remote British Columbia, where they really don't have any options. They're very small communities. And so they were able to, through a large granting organization, be able to attain the funding to be able to put these in a number of their communities. And they're able to support them like off-grid, to be able to run these, to have like community gardens, and to basically divert the organic waste from what would just be dumping in the community, which brings, you know, lots of pests and nuisance in addition to smells. So I think it's definitely something that could be looked at. But again, I think it's a question of cost and figuring out, is there a way to apply for probably more than just one community at a time to get something like this. And then I think everyone's probably aware that this isn't just a one-time capital expenditure. There is going to be consistent operational costs when it comes to having someone manage this, maintain this, make sure the power's connected, or make sure that it's running. And so organic waste isn't just as simple as like,
No.
we can just put it there and then forget about it. So it does require that consistent operational budgeting in addition to the capital expenditure.
Separate collection stream.
Yes.
Other things on paper. Thank you.
Any other questions? I got 2 quick ones. The biodiesel, what's mixed in with the diesel? Like, what's the formula for mixing that up? What are they using?
For mixing biodiesel and traditional diesel?
Yeah,
So.
and I guess where are they getting the material from?
What creates biodiesel? Is
Yes.
that-
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I understand, what they're using at Brea is like cooking oil.
It's beef tallow and things
Yeah.
like that, and renewable diesel is different than biodiesel. So
Right,
those are two different things. So renewable diesel is
Okay.
using organic waste materials.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the process that generates renewable diesel makes it chemically identical to diesel that would come out of the ground through hydrocarbons and be refined into diesel. And so it doesn't have the sludging and the problems that you associate with traditional biodiesel as like, oh, it's -10, this is going to be like the baking grease on the back of my stove.
right.
So renewable diesel is kind of this amazing new technology that's emerged where you're able to use cooking oils and fats and some organic material and sometimes. In some places, they might even be able to do some like plastic pyrolysis as well to be able to turn that into a diesel like for like product.
Okay,
It's interesting, like, so we've talked a lot with Canadian Coast Guard about this project. They're currently blending renewable diesel and traditional diesel to great amounts in BC. I think they're up to something like 80% renewable, 20% traditional. But the biggest barrier they found was operator hesitancy. So the operators of the vessels are afraid to put something new into their engines. So that's why we're starting with starting with small amounts of blends and then building our way up so that we can see what works. Make the vessel operators feel comfortable. But as Audrey was saying, renewable diesel is essentially a drop-in fuel, so it can be used the same as traditional diesel.
And what would be great and what we're hoping to also in our next funding, is right now all of the Brea feedstock is coming from outside the province. And so figuring out how can we actually start diverting our own materials and having that support what they're generating for renewable diesel. So it's not just made here, but it's also sourced from here as well.
right. Second question, this is probably, I don't know, for Charles or both of you. In the news recently, there's been a company looking to recycle shingles. To turn into some sort of aggregate for asphalt. You guys, either one of you working with them? Or both of you working with them, or do you know anything about it?
We've reached out to them. We have not heard back. We can reach out to them again.
So the company that's doing our tire recycling in CVS.
Yeah,
Their sister company,
right,
a peer company, is Halifax C&D. They actually do it in Nova Scotia. So they do shingle recycling in Nova Scotia, separating the aggregate material, which will be used in one building in the center, and taking the flowing out, which can be reused in shingles.
okay,
Or in shingles.
yeah, this is one of our biggest weights, is
Yeah.
shingle.
Actually, the board looked into that about 10+ years ago,
Mhm.
but there was no interest at the levels for approval at that time. I suspect that things have changed today.
Yeah.
But that's because we did, that is one of our heaviest
Materials.
waste streams.
Any more questions? Yes, oh, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
So I had a comment on your two things, because there was a company that applied on Olivia Road. So that was a local company. I don't think not sure, is that totally dead now?
Yeah, they moved up to
What's that?
They moved up to.
Oh, it is? Is that the same what company you were talking about here? Okay.
Okay.
The other thing is building on what you just talked about for feedstock for the Brea. Like when you think about when you have salmon culls, as a really good example, it's they really want oily stuff, so it'll be like seal byproducts, fish byproducts. Like just imagine the people who complain about smell from trucking of the salmon or the trout that die in these sea farms. So like it's really kind of a sin we can't connect the dots on those two things. I'm not sure how you get to the point that it wants it, but it'd be really good to be able to make that happen. That's just kind of a no-brainer. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
I'm sure that's all you have to do.
We make Charles stay. We leave him the last. Charles likes us.
Well, good crap. Hope we don't want to take the burn.
Get home safely.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Too much, yes.
Sit up all over now.
So they do get paid so much.
All righty, committee reports. Up first is the Finance and Audit Committee, and the committee chair is the Deputy Mayor of the snowy city of St. John's, John Ellsworth, will deliver the report. Floor is yours, sir.
Bring your passport, we vote.
I got my passport in my pocket, you can't vote.
Agenda 5A-1, board expenditures report, check register payroll summary. Board expenditures report for the month of January 2026 was tabled for review. Included in the meeting materials are check register, payroll expenses, and BMO credit card. There were no anomalies in any of these. Are there any questions for staff?
I just have one question about the Newfoundland battle bill. Is that 1 month? It's like $9,900, I think.
Yes, that's 1 month, but that would be for all of our facilities, Clarenville, Whitburn, and the 8 waste recovery facilities that are electrified. Six of them, sorry. So yes, I think the waste recovery facilities in Whitburn comes to about 6,000 to 7,000 every month, yeah. Yeah.
Is that something we looked at, or is there a way to make that more efficient?
We don't even have heat at the Clarenville transfer station, staff work out there with no heat in the building. And the electric goes to run the conveyors because the side is out of it. So you're paying the heat, and there's 2 huge garage doors at the height of this building open all day long. So we chose not to put heat there. We give them their proper clothing, of course. But yeah, it's still because of the conveyor cost and lights and alarms and everything else you need. That's about right. Of course, it's high at this time of year because we're in winter. Those bills reduce greatly in summer. And also with the Whitburn one, that's always the highest one. And that's where we keep our fleet. That's where the trucks are brought through our garage to clean, things like that. So there's quite an expense to keep that up.
We need the trucks plugged in too.
Oh, yes, we do.
Thank you. As I said, there's no anomalies in the month of reports. To be resolved, the board adopt expenditures for the month of January 2026 as table.
Moved by the Deputy Mayor, second by Tom, all those in favor? Contrary, carried.
Agenda item 5A-2, Corporate Town Games Activity Report. The Corporate Town Games Activity Report was tabled for review. Once again, no anomalies, and staff will continue to review and work with the municipalities to find reflections. Any questions on the report? Hearing none.
Hearing none.
Item 5A-3. Issue change order to continue water collection, waste collection, sorry, to the Bay Grave area. The briefing note was included in tonight's meeting packet for everybody. Staff initially recommended extending the Bay Grave contract for an additional year. However, staff were later advised that the town of Clark's Beach that they will withdraw from the regional waste service effective May 31st, 2026. With Clark's Beach removed from the contract, the remaining number of households requiring service is 427. After reviewing the options, staff determined that issuing a change order for the current contract for the town of Bay Roberts would be the most efficient approach, both logically and financially. The current contract for Bay Roberts has agreed to include the additional 427 properties in their existing contract for $75,660.13 plus HST. This arrangement will ensure continuous services beyond the end of the current contract. Any questions? Hearing none, be it resolved that the board issue a change order to KJH Dirtworks Limited in the amount of $75,660.13 plus HST to add 427 properties to the current a Roberts multi-stream waste collection, including recycling contract ending June 30th, 2027. No more.
Moved by Round, second by Sandy, all those in favor? Country, Terry?
Agenda item 5A-4, awarding business and Southwest Ireland multi-stream waste collection, including recycling contracts. Briefing materials is included in tonight's meeting package. Staff issued a request for proposals for the East West Southwest Ireland regional contract to provide services for 3,268 properties. 5 contractors picked up the RFP documents, and there were 2 submissions. Upon review of submission, staff recommended the contract be awarded to AJH Dirt Work Limited for a value of the 60-month contract, which will be $2,932,800 plus HST or $178.50 per household per year. Although the cost per household has increased compared to the previous contract, the increase was anticipated. Any questions?
Is that a 5-year contract with extensions of 1 and 1?
Yeah, it's gonna be 5 years.
No.
No more questions? Be resolved that the board award the contract to KJH Dirtworks Limited, the 60-month multi-stream collection, including recycling contract for the Isthmus and Southwest Ireland area in the amount of $2,932,800 plus HST beginning May 1st, 2026. So moved.
Moved by Round, second by Kate, all those in favor? Country,
Agenda item 5A-5, fire and emergency services contract update. A briefing note is included in tonight's meeting package. Committee reviewed the current legal agreement for fire and emergency services, which requires the board to remit full service fees to the town's fire department. For example, if an agreement covers 100 properties at a fee of $50, the board provides the town annually $5,000. With this arrangement, the board is responsible for covering all costs associated with collecting and any unpaid fees. To address this, the committee is recommending that the agreements be updated to provide clearer language and to ensure that the board is responsible only for remaining fees that have been collected. Committee agreed that the future agreement should incorporate revised wording. Any questions? Hearing none. Be resolved that the board change the language in future renewing fire and emergency services agreements to ensure that the board is only responsible for remaining fees that they have collected. So
moved by Round, second by Jill, all those in favor? Country, carried.
agenda item 5A-6 on the financial statements. Once again, materials provided in today's package. At the committee meeting, staff highlighted key aspects of the 2025 fourth quarter financial report. Highlights from the analysis included total actual operating expenditures of $9,884,346. Operating expenditures budget for 2025 or $10,785,352. It was noted that there were significant capital expenditures during the last year, including investments in facilities, trailers, trucks, and upgrades to some of the board's waste facilities. Total capital expenditures were $1,827,722. Was also recognized the actual revenue received for 2025 was $11,712,068. The committee indicated they look forward to reviewing the independently audited financial statements, which are anticipated in March. A lot of pressure. Any questions? Tom?
Just a couple. Given the fact that the contracts are trending, obviously be more, that last one we just voted on was 34% up. Just kidding, I mean, I
34, was it that much?
34.2 is what I'd say in the briefing.
Oh, okay.
One we just.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. And I know this is backward looking, we're not looking into the budget, but just as more of a question as we move forward, do we anticipate? And obviously that seems the way it's trending, so I guess we're gonna have to adjust for that.
In the budget, there was 3 contracts that we knew we were going to market on at least 2 of them. I put 3 of them up by 25%. So the Isthmus wasn't put up, but Southern Shore, which we kept, was put up by 25%. So almost identical contracts. So it's already built into the budget that the amount of it.
Yes. I noticed that the tipping fees for Clarendon was 15.6% over. Is that an anomaly, or do we expect that to
There was a lot of waste went through Clarendon. It was higher than in previous years, but then there's the corresponding revenue to it. So it's kind of an in and out. So whatever we pay in tip fees to run, we pay for Clarenville, we get it from.
Collected.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
It's kind of like HST is just it's a bunch for us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Nice to make profit on it, but okay. Any other questions? There are none?
Agenda item 5A-7, employee benefits renewal. Brief material are included in tonight's package. Employee benefits renewal was overall increase of 12.4%, primarily attributed to performance and usage, including long-term disability. Employee benefits are 50-50 cost share between the employees and the board, except for the long-term disability premiums, which are paid for 100% by the employees. Committee recommends renewing the employee benefits. Any questions?
There are none?
Be resolved that the board renew the provision of the group benefits through Sterling Brokers of Medieval Good Cross effective March 1st, 2026. So moved.
Move by Ron, second by Nancy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item 5A-8, committee discussed possible next steps related to renovation of 2 major pad. It was about being an architect would be sufficient at this stage and that the staff would contact several architects to quotes to begin the process. It was suggested that a preliminary layout outlining space requirements, including number of offices, etc. Their operation be developed so that the project can proceed in a timely manner. Any questions on proposed renovations? Hearing none.
No.
5A-9 asset management plan. An update on the board's asset management plan was provided. It was noted that the board invested in considerable amount in tangible capital assets in 2025. And the updates to the plan include recently acquired trailers, tractors, trucks, and buildings. An overview of the purpose of the asset management plan that was its importance to long-term financial planning was provided for the new members. It was noted how funds can be allocated over time to establish a reserve that can be strategically used to address future maintenance and asset replacement costs. Any questions? Right on.
Hearing none.
No report, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate your time and effort into the committee. Next up, we have the Strategy and Policy Committee. The committee chair is the Mayor of Hewlett's, Mayor Rod Delaney.
Thank you, sir. So the following is from the Strategy and Policy Committee meeting February 11th. Agenda item 5B1, double axle trailer access to waste recovery facilities in the pilot project. The committee began discussion regarding the implementation of a pilot program that provides double axle trailer access to waste recovery facilities. It was agreed that many residents currently own and use double axle trailers. Since the pandemic, the board has received complaints about this policy that was adopted in 2016 to address the excessive commercial waste being brought to these sites by these large double axle trailers. Please note that the waste recovery facilities may only accept residential bulk type materials associated with the home as identified and outlined in the conditions of the board certificate of approval that governs the operations of these sites. The certificate of approval is provided by the Department of Government Services, and regular inspections of these sites are performed by the province's environmental protection officers. The certificate of approval strictly prohibits acceptance of any commercial materials. There is no fee charged to the users of these facilities. They dispose of their waste for free. This is unique to the Eastern region and all other jurisdictions across the province as well as across the country. Users must pay disposal fees for all waste they are bringing to these sites. The committee reviewed the recommended parameters for a pilot project and decided to remove the length of the double axle trailer as a restriction. Ms. Tucker noted at the committee meeting that the board is hosting a professional development day for the staff who work at these sites on February 16th. That this pilot project would be discussed with them. Out of the 12 staff who attended the training, 30% were in favor of trying the pilot program permitting double axle trailers on site. The remaining 70% were not in favor of the pilot program. This item will continue to be discussed at the committee meeting in March, and the committee will determine the parameters for the pilot program so that it may begin in spring. I will bring this item back to the board for a final decision at the March meeting. Any questions?
No, there's no revenue. No revenue for this.
No revenue?
Yeah, revenue. For their increased expenditures.
Oh, yeah, there are cost increases to run the sites.
Transporting it in. There.
Oh, yeah, we transport all waste collected at these sites and that there's an extreme cost to maintaining that fleet of vehicles. Whitburn, that depot, Whitburn exists only to support these sites.
Yeah.
So, and the cost of that facility, the fleet, the staffing, and the cost to operate these 10 sites, yeah, it's a heavy cost. And no portion of the waste fee covers those costs.
Are you trying to sell us on this or not? Not that sure.
No.
Well, you know how I feel. This is a board decision and the board wants to run a pilot project. I think it's a good idea to try the pilot project. The reason the committee gave for the pilot project was that it would give us the data and let us know if commercial waste is an ongoing issue or if that's something that we won't see, because we now have access cards in place. So people show up, they're identified, they have to show a card to access the site. So we feel that this will be a good time to run a pilot.
Volume of materials has been declining in our facilities as well, so. My thought is with the new cards, we've identified those trailers. And secondly, you know, I'd rather it in our facilities and in Robin Hood Bay than in the woods. And we also get a lot of,
Don't even go there, Steve.
we also get a lot of grief from people saying that we are responsible for this material in the woods, even though we're not.
We're not.
But again, whatever we can do to make it easier for people to get materials to our facilities and to Robin Hood Bay, I think we ought to try it. And see what it does.
My personal opinion is that no responsible resident of this province illegally dumps their garbage in the woods.
Right.
So if you're a responsible individual with an access card, you're not that person who's dumping their garbage in the woods. I want to make that clear. That's a whole different
It is.
type of person.
Anyway, hopefully we can get it up and running. in
There could
spring,
be the
because
spot.
it's- Well, any other questions? Oh, sorry.
No.
Just follow up. It's good to get feedback. Did you get any more details as to why? I mean, we know that they get the ridicule and the abuse
Yes.
when they have to turn people away and they know what they're facing. So did they get any more details as to why 70% of them don't think it's a good idea?
I just did a quick survey and asked for a show of hands, because Christy did a good job of outlining the board's proposal. And so I just wanted to see at the first blush what their initial reaction was. And 3 of them put their hands up and said they would approve. But the ones who've been with us the longest, and I think the ones who had the historical memory of dealing with this years ago, they were the ones who were most reluctant to have the policy change.
I did get a little bit of feedback afterwards, and unlike at Robin Hood Bay where materials all floated into a bin, this is all floated into a general area. So what happens is even though the waste is not being dumped out by a dump trailer, it gets thrown off the sides of the trailers, and this creates a lot more pattern of waste on the ground that people are hesitant to drive over, and so it causes creep into the building and into the facilities. And that's their primary concern. But there's ways around that in order to ensure that perhaps you might need to wait a little bit longer while going to these facilities so that offloading can be more supervised to ensure that it is not resulting in the creep. So we will work with the site attendants to minimize those sorts of potential issues and ensure that the pilot is as successful as possible.
With any pilot project, there's always learnings, and
Yeah.
and I will faith that will come up with a solution to.
Yes, we will.
Sure.
And I'm sure the site attendants, will do their best as well. As I've already said, the access cards changes a lot of things. Prior to that, we didn't know who was presenting at the gate. A lot of them were threatening and disrespectful to staff. But now that you have to present with a card that identifies you, and we can identify you, a lot of those issues are going away or certainly diminished.
Good to hear.
Yeah,
There's over 10,000 cards out.
yeah, over 10,500 have been issued.
Like I say, Mr. Chair, I'm kind of glad to see a pilot being done on that. I remember going into the Harvard race site and because you had a double actual cart, they wouldn't take the product. And so what they do, they go inside the gate, take two tires off, trailer, go on back in and dump it. So, and regards of the comment, Lynn, all due respect, you know, the comment on, you know, they wouldn't dare, you know, dump it in the woods. Yes, they would.
Oh, a lot of people.
They dump
throw
it
stuff
right
in the
directly
woods.
into your water supply.
The responsible people don't.
No, I know, but you know what happens to people when you get.
There's a lot of irresponsible, yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad to see the toilet there.
I am too. I think this will set up one way or the other. So it's I'm sorry, Nancy, you have something?
No, I just,
She was,
there's more irresponsible people than responsible.
there's a lot of garbage, you know.
The same distance from one part of Greens Harbor to, say, the dumping Cavendish, to in the back on Glover Road, which is not in the community. The amount of stuff that is dumped in there is crazy, and the drive is no longer.
As the old saying goes, you can't dig stupid. So for a while.
It's sad, it's really sad.
All right.
It's as engaging here as it is in the committee.
Listen. You can't make progress without cracking a few eggs, so.
Good discussions.
2025 waste operations report.
The 2025
Wastewater and.
Sorry?
Wastewater.
Okay. 2025 Q3 and Q4 water and wastewater operations report, operators reports are included in tonight's meeting package for members' information. The board's regional wastewater operator continues to assist 19 communities with their drinking water needs. While the operator is ready and willing to assist additional communities, it has been challenging to increase engagement. Several reasons have been provided by the communities that include lack of staffing and lack of financial resources to address the problems. The committee also reviewed the new wastewater treatment parameters introduced by the federal government. Any questions?
There are none.
Agenda item 5B3, 2025 Waste Operations Report. A brief note is included in tonight's meeting package. The committee reviewed the Waste Operations Report for last year and noted several key points. The usage of the board's waste recovery facilities has decreased year over year. Since 2021, there's been a 24% decrease in the number of users at these facilities. In 2025, there were no registered complaints received by the board pertaining to its certificate of approval for waste haul. In addition, there were no findings during inspections performed by the environmental protection officers at the board's facilities. There has been a continued decrease in the participation of the board's household hazardous waste program. A reasonable assumption is that this is the result of the success of the extended producer responsibility programs and availability of year-round drop-off locations for household hazardous waste materials. There is no need for the board to continue the HHW program. The community cleanup program was very successful in 2025 with an increase of 20% over 2024 in the number of participating communities. The Clarendale transfer station operations remain positive with the acceptance of commercial waste from the Smith Sound area. In 2025, 223 trips were necessary to move the waste from the transfer station to the regional landfill. The board's waste and recyclables collection continued under 11 contracts for 26,600 properties. Are there any questions?
Nope, hearing none.
Agenda item 5B4, the discussion regarding future infrastructure considerations. The committee discussed future infrastructure considerations. It was noted that this item is provided as information for the new committee to understand items that have had ongoing discussions or recommendations for the previous committee. These items included, but not limited to, installation of surveillance cameras at waste recovery facilities to deter vandalism. It was noted that connectivity is the major stumbling block. Reduce the number of waste recovery facilities so that remaining facilities may be improved. Improvements to consider are extended hours of operation, installation of weigh scales so that commercial users may dispose of waste at these sites, policy change so that all users pay to offset the cost of operating these sites like other regional service boards, etc. Upgrade Clarendale transfer station for emergency capacity and improved traffic flow. Consideration of a second entrance exit enhance waste acceptance capacity at the facility, and develop a construction and demolition landfill on the site. Mr. Tesher asked that the addition of special waste facility be added for future discussions, which will also involve other regional service boards as well as the provincial government. In addition, the board would like to advance collaboration among regional service boards and government departments to improve efficiency and resource sharing. These measures should enhance service delivery, improve cost recovery, support environmental goals, and strengthen regional collaboration. Are there any questions?
Hearing none.
Would mandatory recycling would be a benefit too?
Absolutely.
So that's still a good position that we hope we have. So we should put that forward to the government, probably, and
We've kind of, yeah. Anything on that, Charles? Something you can answer. And mandatory recycling? Nothing on the agenda? No. No. Okay. Well, between us, we'll get it out there again.
you bet.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, I apologize to Holly now. But I also said to Holly, you can't put Gerard and Big and Charles on the same side of the room anymore. I'm gonna look over, all I can see is triplets.
I'll stay on this side. Oh, you should though.
Huh?
Get those other two out of there.
God made two perfect hits, the rest of
I like that, Jared.
That concludes the report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, sir. Governance Committee report, Councillor, the longest standing councillor in the city of St. John's history, I think, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just made you so.
Yeah,
Councillor Sandy.
it is so, but my first ever report on governance. So try to keep you together. 5C1, Sierra Statement of Account. We have not been receiving our usual quarter reports because they're delivered by Canada Post. So staff will follow up with Sierra to ensure we can receive these reports. At committee meeting, an audit report completed by Sierra was tabled for members' information. The audit resulted in a credit of $27,055 on the board's payroll account. And confirmed that we're compliant for 2025. Any questions?
Or none.
All right. For professional development, there's a note there. Committee reviewed the list of possible professional development for board members, including the upcoming Swan Northern Lights taking place in Calgary, April 22nd to 24th. The agenda's in the package. Board clerk will send an email to all board members soon asking who may be interested in attending this conference. Please note that the board's guidelines for professional development are included in the tonight's meeting package as well. We are not attending American functions. The committee will continue to review the proposed events and will bring those forward when it is appropriate. Any questions on that or suggestions? Somebody know about a great conference somewhere, Charles, that we don't know about?
Not only option.
Oh, okay. Code of conduct. A brief note included. We believe we can adopt a code of conduct for board members since it was necessary for municipalities. And this will align with best practices of public sector governance and strengthen transparency, accountability, and public confidence. So, any questions on that or thoughts?
No, it's pretty well mirrored to the one that municipalities, but it was always
Born from those.
born from the chain.
Be resolved, the board approves and adopts its code of conduct and ensures it is understood and acknowledged by all board members. I'll move that.
So moved, second by Jennifer, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. You.
Changing the board representative on the Vimy Commercial Condominium Corporation, which runs the building at our office or house. So they're in that. We purchased about half that building last year. We currently occupy 2,700 square feet, and we're developing remaining 2,300 square feet of space for future occupancy. To address shared areas such as the parking lot, exterior building maintenance, HVAC systems, etc. A commercial condominium corporation has been established with the co-owner of the building, which is the dental group. Yeah. So currently the board chair, CAO, and director of corporate services represent the board at condominium meetings. Since CAO is retiring again in February, the governance committee is Recommend that Deputy Mayor Ron Ellsworth, Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, replace CAO on a condominium corporation. Any questions on that?
Any questions? Ron, you're good to go on that? Yep. Okay,
People move on, these things have to have
gotta have somebody there.
sad day, look.
One person in the room is very happy.
Be it resolved, the board changes representation of the Bimini Commercial Condominium Corporation, removing CAO instructor and appointing Director Ron Ellsworth as its new representative. So moved.
Moved by Sandy, second by Tom, all those in favor, motion carried.
Proposed change to structure, membership of the Eastern Regional Service Board is Steve's little baby. And there's a note there on that. Committee discussed the rationale behind the recommendations, highlight the effort to align the ERSB with other active regional service boards and provinces. They consist of 12 and 11, respectively, with an appointed chair. Committee also reviewed how the number of members would be reduced by removing representatives from Mount Pearl, Paradise, CBS, urban communities that do not receive any services or will ever receive services from ERSB. It was noted that over the past 4 years, the board chair and CAO have met extensively with communities throughout the Eastern region. Many of these conversations they have continued to hear concerns that the board's views as urban focus and does not adequately represent rural areas. Particularly given that 13 members are urban communities, while only 7 represent. Oh, sorry. Last page here goes. Represent rural areas. Despite rural communities being the primary recipients of the services, the committee agreed that ensuring rural communities feel fairly represented is essential. That the board should not be perceived as urban centric. The committee discussed providing these communities losing representation with ex officio status so that they may continue to attend meetings and participate in discussions. The committee agreed to table this item at tonight's board meeting for further discussion and decision. And the committee also confirmed that even though the board may make this recommendation, final decision will be made by the Minister of Municipal Community Affairs. So I'll turn it over to Steve if you want to lead discussion on this.
Yeah, so this was brought to the board just before the last municipal election, which was bad timing. So at that point in time, we said we would bring it back to next available public meeting, and here we are today. So if you, over the last number of years, we've met with Central, Western, regional service boards, and they operate with 11 and 12 members. And, you know, we are by far the largest board out there, so 20 members plus me as independent chair. So in discussions with the outside areas, a lot of them felt that the board was very urban focused, and we've heard that a lot from different jurisdictions, different wards of our region. And so I thought it was appropriate to float the idea of reducing the size of the board and have that discussion. And I guess here we are today. So that's where we sit. But you know, I think a board of 12 people is a big board as it is. It's a good sized board. What it does allow is participation on all the committees. So that generally develops better governance. You know, when you have people involved with 2 or 3 different committees, it allows you to participate, allows you to have voice, and gives better direction to the staff going forward. So that's where we are. And I guess I'll open for discussion. So, Bill.
Believe it or not, I got a couple of comments.
What's that?
Believe it or not, I got a couple of comments. Number 2. First off, I don't know where this came from. I'm on the board in 5 years. Since the first I heard it, this came up in September because we're moving to an election. This came up in September, and I don't change the board. I haven't had knowledge of, or the board is working quite well. I understand that, you know, Mount Pearl are also don't have to do with Old Carling or those areas. I understand how that works. So ex officio could work. But one of the things I found out is that, you know, there's a couple things that I will not support. So Mount Pearl don't want to give up their seat in any way possible. All right. You know, one of the things in that motion, it lumps Mount Pearl, CBS and Paradise and Torbay and all that area in one area. And that board would be just called Metro. Now, where did we come up with that idea? Just call that board called Metro. But I don't think Mount Pearl wants to call the board called Metro. Also, one of the background information,
it states reducing the board may support future legislation for structural changes in the provincial level. What does that exactly mean? You know, if we're gonna change the structural of our committee, how does that help the province? You know, that's certainly vague, and I don't know why we would do that. As we talked about, ex officio, does that mean we don't have no votes and no say? I can't see how we're going to support anything like this. We talked about this. We're going to come up with this a little while about something else about how does our council find out about this? With a letter on October the 15th, the letter came from you to our council stating who's going to be the next appointee in Mount Pearl, and state right there, we're going to be changing the board 6 to 8 months, 6 to 8 months. Appointment, there's going to be reviewed because of current change on the board. That's how we found out about it. I checked today, it's in our public minutes. Nobody wrote any comments. It was a letter directly from you to our council, and it was public. So no one wrote any comments. So let's just say from Mount Pearl, I think the board works out like well. I don't see any issues right now. If anybody else wants to be on the committee, I volunteered for a committee, but I back up. I can make one if someone wants to be on. Anyhow, I won't support the
Thank you. Metro is Jennifer, by the way. Jennifer, yeah, she's a Metro rep. So there is a Metro rep, and there will be a.
No, but our ward 2 will be called Metro. That's every board was to have a definition.
Okay. True.
Yeah, so my comments tonight are strictly from Council of Conception Bay South. First of all, vehemently opposed to us losing our current status on the Regional Service Board. Some of the background that I've heard tonight, news to me, especially one with regards to the number of directors in alignment with Central Western. That we have probably double the amount of board members, but we have double the amount of population compared to the Western Central Board. So I certainly just dispute that. Smaller boards typically experience more effective discussions. Mr. Chair, you as mayor down in CBS, and today you appointed me 8 years ago. I'm not too sure. I thought we had an effective board every year. I mean, these comments saying that I guess from the rural areas are saying that we're too urban centric. I never heard those comments before. So it's unfortunate here that, and I thought this board was doing a great service to the entire region. And I certainly won't be supporting the recommendation that's going before tonight. Another thing as well that we need ministerial approval. So are we putting the proverbial cart before the horse? Before doing all the stuff without getting the prior approval from the minister's office. So I question why we're even talking about even changing the composition of the board before we've got any ministerial approval. So based on those comments, and again, the last one I'm going to end off with is that while we don't have a direct say in the operation of the day-to-day East Regional Service Board, we can successfully be as one of the biggest contributors financially to the landfill in Robert Bay. And we'd like to keep our voting seat on.
Okay.
A couple of questions actually, and hopefully you have them answered. So how long has the board, of course, I'm second meeting here, so I'm feeling up my from my life. Everybody trying to get voted out here. Feeling survivor. So just wondering, how long has the board had this composition as it sits now?
Since its inaugural meeting in November of 2011, and that was decided by committee that put regional plan in place.
Okay. I read through had a chance to read through, my second question was, why is the change required? And I know we said that it's, there's probably some geographical areas that you feel are underrepresented on the board. Again, I would echo Councilor Tilley's sentiments to say, there's a lot of population in this area, and to have all of these municipalities, Paradise, Mount Pearl, CBS, all represented by one particular board member. It doesn't do my town, Paradise, a service to be represented and have that voice and a voting concern on board. So I guess my next question would be, how many, and this might be something that I just don't know, is I'm still new here, but how many people does the region service?
Population or
Yeah,
households?
Population.
I don't know what population.
280,000.
Yeah, roughly.
Take out the metro area because we don't provide service in that, so about half of that.
Or Mount Pearl, Paradise, or CBS, so.
Yeah.
So take out Metro as in St. John's or this falls Metro?
St. John's and your three communities, because we do provide service in Coach Cove and yeah. And we have provided service all over the at one point.
Yeah, because I guess where I was going with that question was essentially, based on our population and the amount of residents serviced and whatnot, between the couple of municipalities that will need to report to, it's a significant, you're knocking on the door of the city of St. John's with that type of population. And of course, again, I'll just reiterate the point that, again, as far as Paradise is concerned, we don't feel, and I will say for sure that I'm not interested and I'm not allowed to support this particular motion. But I subscribe to that, if it ain't fix it, as it ain't broken, don't fix it, but because it sounds to me like 15 years with the current structure of the board, from what I had heard before I came onto the board, previous councillor got updated me and said very cohesive, very informative, very respectful, and very effective board. So I just don't see the rationale and reason why we need to downsize and not have as much representation. So me, I will be supporting this particular one.
Okay.
Just one more comment from, the other thing I just have a look here. This is called an Eastern Regional Service Board. Now you're going to take three major municipalities off that. It's still called an Eastern Regional Service Board. Don't call it regional. You're not going to include non-profit. Just say what it is, and I'm on paper. If we're going to be customers of regional Robin Hood Bay, call it what it is. Don't call it regional. I won't support them. This is going to go public to sell off position public. Don't call it a regional board.
Okay.
What's the population of Mount Pearl then?
22,000.
Okay. Because not every 22,000 residents in the region don't have representation. I'll make that point. So otherwise we would have a balloon of a board.
Yeah. The Claremont doesn't have representation either, no?
No,
Well, I don't think.
Yeah, because
What am I the board?
they're part of the zone,
they don't get service from us.
and they don't get service from us, just like Mount Pearl or Paradise or CBS doesn't get service from us, so.
If you want to change it, go ahead. I mean, that's.
Oh, no, I understand, you're one of 20 votes on this.
I know, I got one vote, but I'm not gonna take away that.
What's that?
Now you may take away that.
It's not about taking stuff away, though, it's about making the board more efficient and being able to move the regional service board further along. If you've attended a lot of the meetings, you see where the direction of the board is going. If in a year's time or 6 months' time, we take on the Bonavista Vista region, they're gonna want a couple of reps as well. And the board is going to continue to grow, so.
Fine.
The theory is, don't
call it a regional board.
What do you want me to call it?
I don't know, if you're gonna take.
I call it regional board except not Pearl.
Not a regional.
I mean,
We're a legislative body,
Yeah.
that name is legislative.
yeah, we're not changing the name of the board, and it is a regional service board. We serve as a region from Clarendon East. So,
No, I hear you.
it doesn't make any sense. We won't be changing the name of the board. That's not on the table for tonight. What's on the table for tonight is the restructuring of the size of the board from 20 people down to 12, and then. I spoke to the minister's office today, yeah. They actually called and had some questions on it. So the process is it has to go through this process, then we write a letter to the board saying the vote at the table of the 20 people that are at the board was whatever to whatever, and then we would send that off to the minister's office, they would go through cabinet, and the decision would be made at that point in time.
So I'd like to get involved here. So I appreciate the comments being made by yourselves, Paradise, CBS, Mount Pearl, etc. Speaking for rural, we are in trouble. Rural, in my area at least, don't want to be involved. Generally, the emotion is that they don't want to be involved with the Eastern Regional Service Board because it's not an Eastern Regional Service Board. It's a board that represents the urban areas, St. John's, Mount Pearl, and the areas Paradise surrounding it. You're talking about population base, etc. Speaking from a town of 700 people, we don't want them to do it because why do we want to get involved with a bunch from town? That's the logic that comes out of us. I'm trying to give them the message that this board is all about what's good for everybody. We're conscious. Paris Beach wants out. There's other communities in my district, in my area that want out. But I'm having that conversations with these guys all the time about growing the board. The services, the conversations that are being had are very in-depth. They're very passionate in the sense that we want to do better. Great conversations are being had, but they don't see anything about that. All they see is that this is an urban board. We have to do better for when it comes to the rural communities. Our communities, and I'm going to throw Sam in here too. We're looking at Conception Bay North as just one area, if you will, central and north. We represent about the second largest demographic here. But all I keep hearing about is this crowd from the metro area. And we have to do a better job of promoting this board to these guys. My own council looked at me when they supported me and said, we'll never sign a contract with them. And I said, never say never. You just don't know enough about the good work. And all I hear about is what's going on in Mount Pearl, Paradise, St. John's. I find that inherently wrong. We can do a better job of promoting it. And one of the things that will promote us is what looks on the surface as a more fair area of representation. Not 20 people, 10 versus whoever else. 6 and 6. I know, Sam, you want to get involved here?
I'm a new kid on the block there. I don't want to, you know, like, I mean, I don't want to even really comment on it here. I mean, I'm just new here, and you know, like, I do know that over in our area that there's a fair number of users of this organization, and of course, you know, there's always about representation. You know, I mean, I feel that our area should be represented where there are so many users. You know, you take Mount Pearl or any of the rest of these, and of course, you know, they get their opinions and they feel that, you know, the board wasn't broken. So, I mean, I don't know what to say here. And like I said, I'm new on the block, and I wouldn't want to be passing an opinion on it, you know, regards of for it to be the demise of the board. And I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel.
Oh, that's fine.
So, I mean, that comment being fair, I would also say to everybody here that if this realignment happens, I may well be the odd man out. You may be the odd man out. But if it's the good of everybody, I'm all for it. Yep. So I will be supporting that for the record.
Any other comments?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, cardboard.
I'm also from rural and I'm also new. And I don't have big population in any of the communities. I'm not for or against what you're saying with the change. To me, I don't know enough about it to be able to really comment, but I will say that the as it's still called Eastern Waste Management Board, that's what everybody still calls them, by the way.
Just trying to change that. We're really trying to change that.
I know, but I'm just saying it, like, when I said I'm on the board with Eastern Regional Service Board, they're like, what's that? And I'm like, the waste management, oh. But anyway, the issue is there's not enough knowledge about what you do or how it all works. The bigger communities, the bigger areas kind of know more, and these small rural communities know nothing other than you're late picking up the garbage. That's it, that's what they know. You know, the garbage was supposed to be picked up on Monday and it didn't get picked up till Tuesday, what the hell's going on with that? That is it, that's all they know. And possibly all they want to know, I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe, whether it's restructured or not, maybe the issue with the communities in rural feeling neglected, let's call it, is because there's not enough engagement overall. Maybe that's the issue.
Could be, yeah. We had a meeting with Platteville out at M&L, or, yeah, town of Platteville. And one of the reasons nobody from that region, Ward 7, put the name forward was because they felt it was an urban board and it was pointless for them to drive in from Claremore every month for a meeting. They didn't think they were gonna affect any change. Right. So
there is a vacant seat right now for that area.
and I spoke to a minister about that, and they reiterated the point that he couldn't find anybody to appoint because everybody he spoke to said exactly the same thing. What's the point if it's all run by that? Now, they said, but City of St. John's, which is the urban part, you know, that they own half the board. Why would we make the effort to go in there?
You probably don't even know CBS non-farm paradise that is on board.
Could be. But that's the comment that was made there.
So just still be seen as urban.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so basically the urban makes up 13 seats of a 20-seat board.
I just have a question, and like Sam, I mean, I'm new, so I don't want to say too much, but it is about representation. And you were to put these larger communities as well as the other communities together under one person. That's a lot, that's a big area for one representation or one representative. So that's my concern, that. So
I'm not quite understanding what you mean.
So you're talking about taking 3 communities and combining them
Yeah.
into the metro, which is my ward, which already has 6 communities in it, right? So then it would be Mount Pearl and Portugal Cove, Shore Bay, Low Bay, right? It sells a big list of communities under one representative.
Yeah, no, I think the plan would be the metro would remain as it is, but Paradise, CBS, and Mount Pearl would become a ward. And they would have,
okay.
they would have one person
There's 2
representing.
options.
Yeah, there's 2
Oh,
options.
I see, because it does say we should have.
Yeah. So the option would be that Paradise, Mount Pearl, and CBS would have one rep on our board.
Oh, I
The
see.
other 2 would be ex position.
Combine 3 into 1.
Yeah.
And then this one would
Yeah.
be renamed, not Metro, Killer Coast or whatever.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so, but that was the rationale there was that three of those outlying municipalities, Mount Pearl, CBS, Paradise would have a rep that sat on the board. And they would alternate back through, however they decided, whether it was every year or every 2 years, or every 4 years. And that the other 2 seats would be ex officio, so I think the comment was made, and I don't remember who, might have been Bill said to me one time about the tip fees at Robin Bay conversation. And I said, well, that's not ours, that's the City of St. John's makes that, but you would be as ex officio sitting in that room having that discussion.
I understand the commentary of urban and rural, and
Yeah.
I really get it. You know, you wanna change the status of the board, it's fine, like, I don't think Mount Pearl wants to share our seat with CBS or Paradise, right? So, you know, if you wanna restructure the board, my recommendation to Mount Pearl is to, we should just put out a distribution board. And that's what my recommendations were, see, right? And you can go ahead and do whatever, but my recommendation going back to the city of Mount Pearl, we're just gonna pull out.
Now, we pull out, I don't understand what you mean by pull out.
Well, we just pay our tipping fees to Robin Bay.
Well, that's what you do now.
So
We all do
we even be on board. We don't need to be on board then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, like, the relationship between Mount Pearl, CBS, and Paradise to the regional service board, there is no relationship because you don't get services from us. And the relationship you have is actually with the City of St. John's and Robin Bay.
Well, nothing wrong with the board the way it was.
No,
I
I,
never voted.
you're saying you want to pull out of the regional service board. You're not part of the regional service board because you don't get services from us. You're not like Bay Roberts that get service and they pay
We're
our
on the,
Sam's now.
we're on the North and Southland Joint Councils.
Yeah,
We're on it with CBS Paradise, and we're going to help the other smaller communities, and we do our job at that. If we don't get nothing out, we're there to help.
that's a totally different thing though.
But
That's,
I'm just saying, so on this board here, we're not here to get anything out of it, we're here to help. If we have any expertise that we can share from our staff to somebody else, but we're willing to share that expertise. We don't get nothing out of this board. You know, there's nothing that we get except we can share some knowledge, hopefully.
well, exactly, which is why I propose you put one seat between the 3 of you on that, so that knowledge between the, I'm gonna call them the next bigger towns. That you would still have a seat on that board and you'll still be able to bring that expert knowledge to the board.
Maybe it's, I understand, but it's the optics of this too, right? So all of a sudden, now, you know, we used Eastern Regional Service Board and you took 3 municipalities, so well, you can sit on the side. Now, that's how it goes, I mean, that's it. Right, but you know, if that's what you wanna do, I mean, I'm okay with that, but you know, don't call it a regional board.
I'll just make one statement. I get that that's your perception,
Yeah,
but I think the perception in the rural area will be, now it's a much fairer board.
Yeah.
We are your actual customers. We're the ones who who get service to the board. So I think that perception on their side would be improved. I understand where you're coming from, I do.
You know, with the province is trying to encourage us to be more regional, work together regionally, and they're encouraging that. So here, I'm just saying this because in September, last August, everything was working well as a board, at least I never heard no one tell me that we weren't getting along with rural in the plan out here.
But Bill, to your point of regionalization, rural Newfoundland is not going to survive unless regionalization gets supported and brought forward in a positive manner, of course. My area, rural, will not look at the regionalization that's being brought forward by the Eastern Regional Service Board with the representation as it is. They'll look at it as a much fairer, much more aligned, a much better ability to make positive change if the numbers were smaller on the board.
Yeah.
It's perception. Your point's well taken, everyone's points here are well taken, like full stop. But I'm representing my area as well, and I think my area needs to embrace the idea that the perception would allow for fairer if it were smaller. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
But also, when you look at the background notes of this whole background, it doesn't ring well in my mind. Like when it says, you know, and one of the things you said there is that, I'm sorry for prolonging this.
No,
It says right there on the board with some notes there, scanning that through here. Reducing the board may support future legislation. What does that mean? For structural changes for the provincial level? How does that come in this?
With that discovery, we're gonna need that on next state.
You know, I wouldn't agree with that.
you wouldn't agree to what?
Reducing the board may support future legislation. What does that mean? Support future legislation.
So it aligns us with the other regional service boards. And if the time comes that Bonavista region or Bjorn region comes in on our Eastern Regional Service, we have to provide them with a seat as well. So if we'll end up with 23, 4 seats, 5 seats on the board.
In my mind, it's not about thought of cost. I think if I understand what Rob is saying, all right?
I think it's well thought out, Bill. It's just that you don't agree with it. It's just two different things. Like, it is well thought out. Like, have you ever been part of a board that's 20 people?
Yes.
It's very difficult to have engagement from board members when they don't sit. Sorry.
The
FCM, you know, was another.
Well,
You know, with a smaller board, you have a lot more engagement with the people that are sitting on that board. You know, that's a known fact. I mean, if you do any governance, right? Sorry, hang on, let Troy go first. Because he has.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can I ask,
Bob's coming up.
the current composition now is 20,
20 people on the board, yeah.
so,
One vacant seat, so it's 19 on the board, one vacant seat.
so I guess 10 from the city,
10 and 10 from outside, yeah,
outside.
if it was full.
So the proposal is to.
Six from the city and 6 from outside.
10 and 10, 6 and 6.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how's that going to benefit outside. Again, I'll for the rural versus urban.
less rural, you're saying.
Yeah, so it eliminates the urban of Mount Pearl, Paradise and CVS. So it takes 2 seats out of there and kind of balances it out a bit better. Because right now, you guys are still considered urban. You're St. John's, Mount Pearl, Paradise, CVS is urban part of this province, right?
I'll for the vote.
Hmm?
I'll for the vote.
One last point for me.
Hang on now.
Is it more fiscally responsible to reduce
Well,
that board?
there is financial gain. Mayor Reid?
So I'm trying to get my mind around back to the main problem. Main problem is that we have a rural component of the region that feels disenfranchised.
That receives 100% of our services.
Right.
Right.
That's receiving our services. So how do we fix that? So under current scenario, how would we address that? What kind of steps could we take to do that with the board non-membership, if board membership is the same? Is there a way that we can use a user group approach where you have a user group made that meets without the people who weren't using it and talks about the service and the service delivery and brings recommendations to the board? Is that approach, not just thinking off the top of my head
But
here?
that was the rationale by giving ex officio status, which I spoke to Mayor Bent about, by the way, your mayor, and he was in favor of that. You give ex officio status to, so Bill gets the seat, or Mount Pro gets the seat. Paradise and CVS are on the sideline as ex officio. You can attend the meetings, you hear what's going on, you still have input. It's just when it comes time to put your hand up and say yes or no, there's no vote. So if you rotate that every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, whatever we decide to do, how that is. So Mount Pearl gets it for a year, then CBS gets it for a year, or Paradise gets it for a year, and then you rotate back again. But in the meantime, whoever's not as a board member still has sway on the board. You still attend the meetings, you still come in here and, every month, and you still have the discussions. Just again, when the hand goes up to vote, there'll only be 12 voters as opposed to 20.
Under the proposed recommendation, will we be able to participate in any, like, say, professional development or I mean, no longer official party board?
No, you'd be ex officio, unless you're the sitting member at that time, you wouldn't be able to, but if you're not, then you wouldn't get the professional development, no. There'll be a board.
Thank you.
Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Tom?
I know it's an uncomfortable conversation for the room because, we're all here together and we've been here for a while. I guess the couple thing for me is, as somebody who was part of the inaugural board, this conversation happened back then about who should be at the table and who got services and, politically, because St. John's owns and operates the waste facility, control was important because obviously we don't want our taxpayers subsidizing other waste collection pieces, so that's why it was done. So politically, the other metro areas were given the seat to keep the whale and keep everybody happy. Not because they were contracted or involved in providing services. So it's interesting, here we are almost 20 years later, we're back at the same conversation of the representation, so to me, there's two things to talk. One is, like my colleagues around the table, on the inside looking out, this works great. Lots of good conversations, lots of good discussions, and I believe strongly the representation from the rural are well respected. And we lean into the rural representation when we're making decisions that impact them. I don't know, many of us here get here debate about what happens in Witness Bay or Bay Roberts, or we lean into the folks from those areas. So, on the inside looking at my colleagues here, I get that and understand that this works well. But on the outside looking in, representation's not there. Right? And that's the reality. So it's a picture that's created, regardless if it's good, bad, ugly, we're all politicians. So we know it's the reality, that's the perception is the reality, right? So I get what we're trying to accomplish here. But I'll be totally honest, and I know the mayor and I have had this conversation before. With St. John's controlling the vote at the board, I'm not sure I'm comfortable sitting here voting off my Borough Paradise and CBS. But I'm also not comfortable sitting here giving power to my Borough Paradise and CBS when really it's a board that services outside the rural areas. So I struggle with this because, we're all friends, we all do a big trade. To me, the solution was the ex official piece, to keep the voice at the table. I find it interesting, Bill, you talk about government and regionalization. Well, Mount Pearl's not really part of regionalization, Bill, I don't get, right out, because we're trying to do economic development and Mount Pearl is no part of that. So to say that you want to be part of the regionalization piece, I think is a bit disingenuous. But I understand why you want to be at the table. But the reality is, this board does not service you. This board does not service CBS or Paradise. So why do Paradise, CBS, and Mount Pearl want to be at the board? Because it doesn't impact the community. As the chair has identified several times, it's the city of St. John's who sits the tipping and then sends it over to Eastern Regional for them to send out. So that's a relationship with the city of St. John's. an ongoing service there because at the end of the day, I don't have a solution. My colleagues, with me know that that's an uncomfortable spot for me to be because usually I have pretty good clarity on here's what we need to do and here's the reason why.
This is not meant to make ill will or bad friends on anybody.
No, I think bad friends, Steve, on television.
I guess over the last 3.5 years that Lynn and I have been together, we've traveled the entire region without any of you. Because, that's not your job, that's not your role. But, what's that? But we hear it on a regular basis when we're outside, when we go to Witness Bay, we go to Bay Bulls, we go to Renews Campaign, we go to Carbonear, Bay Roberts. Sam's council brought it up over his way. Long Harbor, we hear it in Clarendon. It's a constant conversation for us, myself and Lynn. Again, I'm not here to say anybody's doing a bad job or anybody should be, kicked off the board because you're doing a shitty job. What I'm saying is, at the size the board is right now, it's out of line with Central and Western, first of all. And also, there's 3 people or more probably sitting on the board that have no skin in the game. And other than coming to the board meetings, you guys, if the city of St. John's didn't own Robin Hood Bay and Regional Service Board, they would not have 10 seats on this board. They would have 1. That would be it. I mean, that's the reality of that. And then any of you at the city of St. John's would go, yeah, you're right. Because back years ago, Danny, before my time on this board, but the plan was to have a separate regional landfill that was operated by the Regional Service Board and shut Robin Hood Bay down, right? If that happened, they would not have the 10 seats that they have right now. Period. I know that. And when I was appointed as the chair of the board, there was things that were discussed by the minister of the day that, here's some things that are gonna happen in the next 4 years that we would like for you to do. And one of them is, the expansion of our jurisdiction. And with that, if we take in Bonavista, for example, if we take in Bjorn, if Central takes in a bigger zone and it ends up being 3 regional service boards, Bonavista, John Norman and Bonavista is not gonna wanna not have a seat on the board as well. So if we have the existing size, we're gonna end up increasing it by John Norman's seat, let's call it, Mayor of Bonavista. Then Danny Green's gonna stand up and go, hang on a second, now that tips the balance of the board, so his last councillor, Brenda Alley, will be put on the board, there'll be another 2 on the board. So that's where it's going from, guys. Is that you're doing a bad job? It's not what this is about at all. It's about efficiency of a board. You look at any board, I sat on the English School District Board for 2 years. That board was 25 people. They shut it down. Probably shut it down because the board was too big and it wasn't achieving what it needed to achieve. So my job as chair of the board is to make the board efficient and make it work and making sure that we all do our job properly in a fiduciary responsibility that we have to the people that we service.
However this phone calls, I'm still grateful to you guys.
Listen, I sat on council with Greg Tilly. I know Greg Tilly louder than most of you here, so I mean, this is not about kicking people off the board. It's about right sizing the board so that it becomes efficient. We have committees of the board that people don't sit on or have no contribution to because they don't get any service from us, so it doesn't matter. So what I'm saying is, we had people that were sitting on the committees doing a better job on those committees, making us a better service board and then giving service to the people that are getting it from. That's the rationale.
You'll hear more from me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
However this vote goes.
Yes.
All right, so there'll be no back doors, I don't support it. And
No, that's fair.
And as regards to Ron asked about regional economic development, we didn't participate. Then you wonder why we're gonna be out the regional service board. So don't call the region, I saw them go ahead.
Yeah, Central Regional Service Board, Western Regional Service Board, North End Regional Service Board, Bonavista Regional Service Board, they're all regional service boards, so. Again, not changing the name.
Where I'm gonna go.
Yeah, Tom, sorry, Tom.
So I just a point of clarification, because I think there may be some confusion.
Yes.
Now you indicated, Jennifer, that they would be their own board. Now, in the decision note, it says Ward 2, also known as metro area, shall be comprised of City of Mount Pearl, Towns of Paradise, Conception Bay South, Portugal, Phillips.
Yeah, I think.
Tor Bay, Logie Bay, Little Cove, Outer Cove, Butch Cove, Flat Rock, Petty Harbor, Manus Cove, Pauline's.
That's a community list, is it?
Well, that's under Ward 2's definition.
Yeah, that wasn't changed, I'm sorry, following the discussion at
Change
committee.
that after me.
If you look, that's round 1, if you look at the background discussion table in September, It says discussion at committee suggested providing one seat to the board to 3 communities and ex officio status to the remaining 2 without a current seat. Other consideration was, should we add the 3 communities to the metro region? These are 2 options. The one that Steve or is in the motion here tonight, I think, is to give them the seat and ex officio status.
Right.
So those were 2 options that were bantered around it.
Okay, but in the motion. There'll be 12, 6 obviously for the city.
Yes.
Before we all vote, I think it's very important.
We'll clarify.
That Jennifer, everybody knows what,
Yeah.
and I think that has to be clarified, just as a point of order, and I also think that it's important for us to realize that we only meet once a month, and you guys.
Meet 3 times a day.
All right, so I,
Or more.
opinion, I do think we need to take your counsel. So I mean, even though just like everybody else, technically, we're voting ourselves off the board.
Yeah.
I do weigh your opinion, well, again, whoever's involved in this, I'm from you guys, from the staff. If you still strongly believe it, I do think we need to take that counsel. But I do believe you need to clarify what the boards look like and who's represented before you ask us to vote.
No, that can be done.
This board struggles with
I mean, even Rod and Sam may be voted off. So he's promoting somewhere, he may be voted off.
Yeah, so this purpose of this board is to provide services to municipalities who can't provide the services to themselves, or they choose to not be able to come with us. Mount Pearl, Paradise, CBS has huge financial resources. I mean, I look at Mount Pearl's budget, it was 60-something million, I think, this year. 2 million. 62 million. But what I'm saying, just like, you guys can look after your own house, and so can CBS and so can Paradise. I mean, you've got financial means, but the smaller municipalities, Rob, what's in yours, 700 people? 700 people. So these guys struggle, and it's hard for myself and Lynn's gonna be gone after this week, but so it's hard for myself and whoever's coming next to go out to Burgoyne's Cove and convince them to join us, which we just spent the last year and a half with the town of Placentia, and finally convinced them, they finally joined us. It's hard for us to go in and sit across the council table and say, no, boy, you'll have equal representation on the board. All your matters will be dealt with, and they look at the board composition and go, Jesus, there's 10 from the city of St. John's, 1 from Paradise, 1 from Mount Pearl, 1 from Conception Bay South. That's 13-6 or 13-7, sorry, bad math. 13-7. That makes no sense to most of those people out there. And you gotta understand, they don't have the means. Their budgets are, Rod, what's your budget? $770,000. You guys spend that on a dump truck.
I understand what you're saying, like, I do get it.
I know you do, but I guess, again, it's not about kicking people off of the board, it's about making sure that we all have equal.
If I get another night home, it's gonna be great, so.
What's that?
If I get another night home, it's not too bad.
Yes.
Right, but you're trying to work something out, we're trying to work together on this, we're all trying to do things right. I understand regional cooperation in your area, you need regional cooperation, we need regional cooperation in here, we're working, we can do that best we possibly can. And I wanna work together too, but this is not really sitting well.
So as Mayor Breen put forward, is there a better solution?
That's what I think, yes, we've talked about this twice.
Yes.
We've talked about it in committee, we talked about it twice. I think it's probably worthy of another thought.
If someone got a better idea,
Yeah, but.
bring it forward, but if you don't have a better idea.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, but I think to take it away and think it about is probably better.
I thought that's what we did in September though.
Yeah, but we really
No.
talked about the September.
You couldn't talk about September, Steve.
Yeah. I think everybody's got a better
For this.
idea of it now, of what the issue is, and I think the issue boils down to how can we alleviate the problem that we disenfranchise the rural communities.
All of our clients.
All of our clients.
All of our-
That has to be
100%.
the ones that are the clients. And number two, how do we still maintain the regional participation? That maybe it's rotating the seat as opposed to having an election out of amongst the 3 municipalities, maybe it
Well,
moves.
that's what I said earlier. I said, I don't I don't want to sound flippant, but I don't care which one of you sits on the board, as long as one of you sits on the board. That decision can be made amongst the three, who's gonna be the rep for the next 12 months or 2 years. I don't, that fact doesn't bother me,
Yeah,
but I think you're big enough to figure that one out.
and the other thing is this may all be for naught because could be that the minister that says, no, we don't change the board and you still you still got the problem that you gotta deal with. So that's the other part.
So let me offer this as an opportunity to look at ourselves. We had that conversation in September, as we pointed out. I just heard 3 urban people say we never talked about it enough, but I represent the rules. Don't be so dismissive, the 3 of you. The conversation is fair, absolutely.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not following.
When we had that conversation in September,
We did.
we just said then that wasn't a good conversation to be had at that time.
No.
And I just heard that point from 3 urbanites.
No, I don't think that's what I was saying.
Well, that's fair enough, guys, but my point is my point.
I'm not following because I was
The
saying.
rural guys not being heard here versus the
Okay.
3 urbans.
We get
I think
that.
that's an unfair statement.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was saying.
Yeah, okay, this,
Well, I'm not trying to turn it into an argument.
No, no.
No, I apologize if I'm.
No, I just want to be clear on what I'm saying, is that this is a pretty big decision.
Yeah.
And it's a big decision on the future of the services board. The biggest issue here for me is not the number of seats, and it's not the breakdown of the seats. It's the fact that we have the section of our population, the ones who are purchasing the services that feel disenfranchised. That's the biggest issue for me. Is this the route that's gonna be the best route to take in order to change that? Is this in combination with something else gonna be what you change that? Because whatever we do here, we've still got to deal with the issue that we have a large sector and the ones that are buying services and our customers that aren't comfortable with the approach.
Right.
So we've got work to do.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that that's that robust discussion that I think we need to have.
well, we had a pretty robust discussion there right now.
Yeah.
And I think we had a pretty robust discussion back
We did.
just before the general election.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I apologize to all of you, if you remember correctly, those who were here and said, all right, guys, you know, that was on me. I probably brought this up too quick. That was October, November, December, January, February, 4 months ago. It came back to committee,
We did, we
this
had
last
to
week,
chat about that.
and everybody at committee was like, yeah, you know what, we gotta do something because it doesn't make sense. City St. John's, you and I have had conversations, I've had I don't know how many conversations you and I have had, Lynn, but
Yeah.
you know, I could not think as chair of this board and under my responsibility and under what I've been asked to do, I could not think of another way of fixing the size of the board and getting it in line with the other boards and providing the representation that 100% of our clients don't get. Because right now, over half of our board has no say in this, in what we did and how we operate. I mean, you sit at the table here and make decisions based on you being here, but I mean, you know, you guys are rural, and a couple over there that are rural. Other than that, there's no skin in the game here, so.
No, but even if you change the structure of the board, still the same thing. Number gets smaller, but still 50% urban, 50% rural, that doesn't change.
But it's more than 50% now, that's what we're trying to correct.
Shouldn't it?
It's
13 seats urban and 7 rural right now.
That's not acceptable.
No, you're not.
Greg. Guys. Hang on, Greg got his hand up, he hasn't had an opportunity to say anything, so. Sandy, you're next. Greg, go ahead.
Thanks, Steve. So great conversation, folks. Look, my take is this. Any kind of a working board needs to be effective and efficient. There is a cost to having a size to a larger board. So there's definitely benefits to cutting it from that perspective. Also from an efficiency perspective. I'm generally favoring that perspective. One thing I do think, and I'm going to reiterate to Mayor Breen's sentiment there is I think this is a larger conversation and something we need to be taking back and having a bit more discussion about. I think there are alternatives. Steve, I don't know if you guys have considered something where we would have even an observer status for rural towns, non-voting observer status, so they can be part of the conversation, be involved to kind of deal with that issue of how do rural towns feel like they're engaged, while kind of still accomplishing that goal of having a more effective and efficient board. Granted, I know that that's maybe a bit of a curveball, but just to throw it out there as part of the discussion. But again, I think this is a bigger piece, and we probably need to have a bit more of a thorough conversation outside of just this evening.
Yeah, just a quick answer to your question. So there's about 110 municipalities LSDs that we service, so you can't give them all observer status. The rationale is that the boards were set up to be the observers. So that's the representation of the districts, right? Seven districts, right? So I get.
Yeah, I'm not proposing having multiple for each LSD.
Give everybody a seat at the table because you'll be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. Sam, you had your hand. Well, sorry, Greg. Do you have anything else?
No. Again, just as
think about part B on that one.
Yeah, just again on the clarification on the observer status, I think it's more of a it would only be at most 2, say, and it would kind of rotate every however you want to do it, however long kind of thing. Again, I respect and appreciate that can cause a bit of a trick for governance, which the notion would again be that you wouldn't have voting powers. It'd be more for provide input and representation. But again, appreciate where you're coming from on that too.
Andy?
This is my first time chairing the governance, that's for sure. But listen, I want to credit Steve. What a difference when he took over as chair. He really brought us outside the city. We put our meetings outside the city. He invited the councils from the area to come to the meetings. I thought that was fabulous way of including more people from rural areas. And our staff are in the rural areas. Let's not forget that we're represented well in rural areas by our staff, and we need to be proud of it and be supportive of that. You know what? Yeah, I agree with Danny. We should be looking at options. This was a great, I know where Steve's coming from, but this came out of your head, I know, but it's very responsible to try and have a control committee, say, smaller one. I do not care about the other 2 regions, tell you the truth, though, Steve. They have their population is about the same as the rural area we serve, I would say, if not smaller. We are different. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And we're different because of the RHB. I mean, it's city owns it, and that's where it's decided everything goes. That is different from anywhere else in the province. The only other model I could throw out there would be let's have a rural board. Maybe there should be a rural board headquartered in Whitburn or somewhere that is a customer of just the same as the 3 city. So we would be on the board. There'd be no regional board including the cities. They would have their own.
That's kind of what we're doing, though, Sandy.
No, it's not. St. John's is on the board, and that's it.
Yeah, but we cut them in half. We cut them down to 6 as opposed to 10. That was, I think, the number Danny and I were.
I'm saying they could be a customer.
Yeah.
Of Robin Bay. Like the industrial sector, it's their own customers.
But these
Our like rural TVS will be around that, right?
Yeah, the 3 cities, all cities, because you should be. Or you are.
That'd be a ministerial decision.
I'm just saying, Danny suggests options.
Yeah, no, fair enough, but I think,
I
think the province is trying to get control of the regional service boards and make them more efficient.
But we're not, we don't need to be part of the regional service board in that regard. We should have our own region of Greater St. John.
But again, the only reason City of St. John's is at this table is because you own Robin Bay. You know, if I could buy it for $1.
Why can't we sell our service to other places?
Yeah.
But anyway,
retailer, we're trying.
This is one point. The other point is, I think the chairperson should be from the rural area. Personally, nothing against you, but it's been Ed and now you, and that really is not appropriate from the thing from the rural area. The chair should be from.
But the guy from the urban.
You're from urban.
CBS is supporting the rural.
What?
the guy who lives in urban, I live in Conception myself, and I'm saying that he shouldn't be on the board, that I'm supporting the
I'm
rules.
saying the chair, I'm talking about the chair. It's all about perception. If the chair is from Carbonear or Whitburn or Chadwell, I think it
I was-
was.
I don't think the chair is ever in question. I think the question is
No,
always
I'm saying,
around
there's no chairs before. All this.
representation.
No, it's a different, it's trying to think differently.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
Anyway, my last word here as chair is I've been to defer the motion. I believe for discussion. I appreciate the new people for us.
So I appreciate that. I will entertain deferring it for one more meeting.
But we need a presentation, like I'd like to have a map up there and get more.
Presentations in your.
Yeah, we'll make some
Number of communities.
We'll update the
Let's
presentation.
do all that and so make sure, maybe other people may want to come to the meeting from some of the.
Well, they're all invited, they can come to any meeting they want.
Well, our rural rep can talk about that, yeah, some of their.
But we can defer for one more month. But again, it will come back to the table as it is with a couple of changes that have, go ahead, Jill, sir.
Can I just ask if we do that and we come back for another conversation, like, I think unless we set what the parameters are on that next discussion, it's gonna be the same discussion again. So it has to be, open up that conversation with, we left this open so you can bring some new ideas to the conversation. If there's no new
If you
conversation.
got a better idea,
Yes.
if you got a better idea.
Because
bring
this
it.
will just happen again for another 20, it was great
No,
conversation.
no, it is a great
We're not solving
conversation. But if you got a better idea, Bill or Gerard or Blaine
Better idea.
Or Danny.
or Danny, or what?
I'm good with that.
No, if you got a better idea, don't bring it at the next meeting, bring it long before so we can all review it and have a
So
look
then
at
we
it.
know what we're talking
So
about.
we don't talk about it.
Chair of the governance committee can lead that. so-
Yeah, we will.
Let's not do that.
All right, so Sandy, motion to defer?
Absolutely.
Motion to defer, second by Gerard, all those in favor?
I,
Patrick carried, okay, let's move on.
We can move now into the next one. Your fiduciary duty, confidentiality. Your fiduciary duty is well exercised tonight. So, in module, members, please note that when you were appointed and stating your acknowledge and agree that you have a fiduciary duty to exercise due care. It's a great word, fiduciary. To how you manage the board's affairs and have a duty of loyalty to the organization. I mean, we all are. In addition, you're responsible to take care and not release any information which may adversely affect the reputation of the board or body contents with this matter. Unfortunately, earlier this month, the board chair received a telephone call informing about the discussion to restructure the board. That item had only been discussed in a private meeting and had not been tabled in a public meeting. Therefore, no discussion of this matter should have taken place outside board meetings. Sharing this information purely breaches confidentiality. Members are reminded that any discussions held at board or committee meetings outside of public board meetings are considered confidential and should not be shared.
Best time.
Any questions?
That's all, I know how that happened because it's in our public minutes. Letter from Steve, that's what I just mentioned earlier on, said there's gonna be a change in the board.
Oh, was it?
And I think somebody might have read that.
That's not.
That's not the,
Oh, that's not the.
yeah, you're jumping in and then, you're assuming guilt here.
You're assuming- yeah, that's right.
I'm just.
I won't kick the stool on the there was somebody else.
Shut up for her. I might get kicked
Listen.
out of the board. I'm gonna be hold off the office.
What happens in committee meeting is confidential information until it comes to the, that's all I'm saying, so. There was, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, joint council report, brief notes included, or continues to provide administrative support to the Southern Shore, Northeast Avalon joint councils. Both joint councils are active with positive attendance, intended to be happy with the board support. ERSB was pleased to report the joint council consideration of the North has been reinstated and meetings are going well. It's certainly a real success and credit to Holly for a lot of that too. Well done. Any thoughts or questions on joint councils?
Do you have a record of people who attended the joint council meeting, what towns?
I do, yes.
I see it.
haven't got it after me.
I will, consider.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Very pleased report.
Don't play the job.
Listen, I put him chair of the committee because I knew he was gonna do a good job.
Thank you.
Next up, we have communications, community relations committee, and the chair is Councillor Kate Cadigan. Aren't you glad you started communications?
Exciting.
Look how much work you gotta do.
All right, agenda item 5D1, continued objectives. The committee revisited its established objectives and discussed strategies to further advance them. Discussion included, number 1, develop better communications for communities and residents. The committee discussed expanding the use of Wine's alert notification system so that regular notifications are sent regarding access cards, community cleanup notifications, recycling initiatives, and other board-related programs and activities. Number 2, the committee requested that weekly or bi-weekly reminders, alerts be sent to enhance community engagement and service awareness. Number 2, increase the number of communities receiving services. The committee discussed hosting meetings throughout the region to improve engagement with communities and to ensure they understand the services that the board can provide. The committee also discussed that the board should continue to advocate for mandatory recycling at the provincial level, especially with the new government. Number 3, meet with communities who have opted out of the regional service. The committee discussed meeting with communities who have opted out of the regional service to ensure that they understand the value-added benefits of the regional service that includes customer invoicing and contractor payments, managing service interruption inquiries, administering the RFP process, contract and contractor management, etc. The committee agreed that further engagement and education with these communities is important. Number 4, improve the reputation of the board. The committee noted that the board has worked hard over the past 5 years to improve its reputation. It was noticed that most reputational damage stemmed from the ministerial directive period of 2017 to 2019. The directives resulted in the withdrawal of waste services to all properties on unserviced roads in unincorporated areas, effective December 31st, 2019. Since that time, the board has focused on improving its service delivery as well as its relationship with the communities it serves. The board continues to ensure that it operates with full transparency with all documents and decisions publicly accessible on its website. The committee reaffirmed that open communication and collaboration across the region are critical to sustained success. Number 5, engage communities to build customer loyalty and customer loyalty and to raise awareness that the board is a regional waste authority. The committee requested that staff prepare an information package for board directors to use within their respective wards. The package would include a letter confirming the board's willingness to collaborate, pamphlet outlining services provided, information on reporting issues and concerns, invitation for communities to suggest additional services, and an offer to host a meeting locally to strengthen partnerships. The objective is to build loyalty, awareness, and long-term relationships. Number 6, raise online visibility and improve responsiveness. The board's website was discussed and members felt it was professional and effective. Discussion was held about the lack of presence on social media such as Facebook. Historically, social media engagement was discontinued due to inappropriate comments directed at staff and the board. However, discussion noted that Facebook may now provide the ability to turn off comments and/or feedback. If so, this may provide the board the opportunity to again use Facebook to communicate. Any questions?
There are none.
Right, agenda item 5D2, promotional materials. The committee reviewed the Regional Water Wastewater Operator Program brochure and was pleased with it. A copy is provided in tonight's meeting package for members' information. The committee discussed further promotional strategies to enhance awareness of the board's programs and services. So improving the board branding, the committee discussed that the board's logo is not currently visible on its fleet's vehicles. It was noted that this decision was made during the difficult ministerial directive period when the board experienced vandalism of its vehicles that had logos on them. In addition, during that time, staff received negative and threatening comments when seen in public with the board's logos. The committee recommended that the board should again ensure its logo is on its fleet's vehicles. The committee felt that staff should be proud of where they work and will provide staff PPE, hats, etc. with the board's logo. It was confirmed that employees were provided work clothing last year with the board's logo, and that will continue. Any questions? Okay, that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, yeah.
With regards to implementing the use of Facebook again, just my one consideration would be the staff requirement to be able to manage such a thing. So, you know, if something like that was implemented, it's, you know, certainly going to require a dedicated time by someone who's going to have to assess whether or not their current capacity.
Yeah.
That was discussed. How in the past, it was tried.
Yes.
It kind of went off the rails for.
Very quickly.
Yeah, and that was a concern that was brought up within the committee that if it were to happen again, there's gonna have to be somebody who that's dedicated. It has to be constantly updated and monitored. Yeah, it's very difficult.
It's a dangerous spot.
Yes.
New business. I gotta give Charles the floor on this one because I didn't even get to do it in the beginning. Charles Bowen, MMSB. How you doing, Charles? New business, anything on the go?
Wow, what a meeting. I kind of feel like the TV show that comes on after the news.
Yeah.
For younger generation, the actor follows Taylor Swift. So,
Yeah.
So I'll be late. Okay. So folks who don't know me, I'm Charles Bowen. I'm CEO with MMSB. For Crown Corporation, I'm responsible for delivering waste diversion programs in the province and providing funding, as you heard from EcoNext tonight. So we're very pleased to offer a great deal of programming, not only to organizations like EcoNext, but to many communities, municipalities around the state and throughout the province. So a couple of hits I want to talk about tonight. We're having a good follow-on from conversation. We're having our regional waste management forum. That's in Gander in May 21st and 22nd. And that's an event that MSB does to facilitate conversation about waste management and how we do waste management in the province. But we do it at a waste management region level. So we bring in representatives from the waste management regions, have a facilitated conversation with what everybody's doing, challenges they face, and try and find a way for groups to talk together. I think part of that, one of the reasons why we have Eastern, Central, and Western having conversations as well. So, you know, events like that are great and spurs a lot of conversation and also forms relationships as well. So we're very pleased to offer that again this year. And we did do a round table, called everybody first, make sure everybody was going to be in the province at that time. And so everybody's going to be there May 21st, 22nd. I mentioned at this table before, and so some will remember what I'm going to talk about. For those who are new in your communities, if you're doing curbside recycling and you find it a challenge sometimes to be able to tell your residents what goes in the bag or other promotional items about curbside recycling, MSD offers a free toolkit that any municipality that wants to brand their own materials, send to their residents. We've done all the creative work and all the hard work around this. Is printable materials that you can take yourself. I'll leave the link and I'll give it to Holly. She'll share with you. Get the materials with your own municipal logo on it and send them to your residents and help them with the curbside recycling. Not everybody has the ability to run their own program. Not everybody has the capacity to be able to do approach with materials as well. So we decided we do a little bit of work to try to fill that void and educate people better and hopefully help reduce the amount of material that's ending up in landfill. We did our compost bin program again last year. We talked about composting here a moment ago, and MSB has been involved in providing residential compost bins now for over 10 years. We have more than 36,000 out in the wild right now, and we're continuing to do that each year. If there's any feedback from municipalities who have participated and no longer want to, or municipalities who are participating but feel that there's some changes that we should make that program, I'm always open to hearing about that. We have 240 37 gallon tumblers going out to 6 communities this year. And 240 50-gallon tumblers going out to 2 communities this year. So we'll continue to do that as long as municipalities express interest. Well, we gauge the interest beforehand. We ask everybody. We get into your professional administrators. And so if you haven't talked to them, if you're not familiar with this program, talk to your administrator and say, have you ever been contacted by ERSB about their compost program? Yeah, not reach out to me or any of my staff. We're more than happy to help. We subsidize those bins for them. So for a $120 bin, you will pay $60 for it. You can sell it to your residents for $60. Bigger bins, we offer an even greater percentage subsidy in those as well. Every year for the new members around here, we offer a community waste diversion fund. So we'll, at one of these events, some representative from MSB will be here and say when the next opening for the community waste fund is going to be. And your community, make a proposal to us, the funding up to $25,000 for a waste diversion project. And we do that every year without a quite number of municipalities. And for, it's not only for communities, but we also provide funding for groups like EcoNext and others, who are small businesses, organizations like EcoNext and others, to do innovation funding. And we provide funding up to $50,000 for that as well. So that's my recap, Mr. Chair.
Thank you
for the opportunity again, as usual. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you here. Makes my whole month. I feel so good. I wake up tomorrow morning and go, I wish we should go all over again. Correspondence, we got some ministerial responses to cabin owners. There's a couple there. Hopefully that puts that to an end. They've been getting the same message now for the last number of years. There's one there from Minister Tibbs regarding the town of Wabana. And next up, we have round table. Actually, no, some more correspondence. I think, Danny, you got a letter or something?
I got a couple of letters.
Okay.
Some letters for address to Lynn Tucker, CAO, on her retirement. And I have the first one from the past chair of the ERSB, Ed Grant.
Really?
Hi, Lynn, so pleased to hear you're retiring to enjoy time for family and travel. During my term as chair, your support and knowledge made my job much more understandable and workable. All the staff, including you, Ken, former CEO, and all others acted professionally and with absolute integrity during some trying times, and there were some trying times. I want to sincerely thank you, wish you well in retirement, take the time to enjoy. Cheers, Ed. Thank you. Also have a letter from the Honorable Chris Tibbs, MHA and Minister of Municipal Affairs, Municipal and Community Affairs, by the way. Dear Lynn Tucker, please accept my sincere congratulations on your retirement. I'm pleased to recognize your distinguished career and the numerous contributions you have made to the Eastern Regional Services Board over the past 15 years. Your progression from administrative assistant to chief administrative officer reflects your professionalism, dedication, and strong commitment to public service. Your leadership has had a lasting positive impact on the Eastern region and its communities. As you begin this new chapter, I wish you good health, happiness, and an enjoyable retirement. Thank you for your years of dedicated service and for everything you have done for the Eastern Regional Services Board and the people it serves. Congratulations on a well-earned retirement. Honorable Chris Tibbs, MHA.
Thank you very much.
I got a couple too. The past chair, Harold Maloney. Hello, Lynn, congratulations on reaching this momentous milestone. Take care, professionalism and attention to detail that you demonstrated during my tenure as the Eastern Regional Service Board will never be forgotten. You were the guiding light during some truly trying times. It's a theme there. To get the job done, you never failed to go above and beyond the situation required. The concern and consideration you showed the board and the staff and the clients was truly admirable. As you embark on this new phase of your life's journey, I wish you nothing but the best of health and happiness that the rewards and new challenges yet to be realized will bring you. And through it all, may the road rise to meet you and the wind be always at your back and the sun upon your face. Thanks so much for your services and years. Best wishes, Harold Malone.
I always thought it was some Southern or I always had a.
And this one's from another fella, you know, Ken Kelly.
My good.
I know, we dragged him out too. Back down Nelly.
Sure did.
Chair Tessier, members of the ERSB, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this great milestone with you. I cannot think of no better way to celebrate an early International Women's Day than celebrating Lynn Tucker on her leadership role with the Eastern Regional Service Board. Lynn started down the road of Regional Service Board delivery many years ago. Lynn was the first employee of the board starting in 2009.
Yes.
She has been integral to the development and sustainability of the regional service delivery in Eastern Newfoundland ever since. Things have not always been rosy. Things have not been, Jason, you're ending up that way with me racks tonight. Things have not always been that rosy, but we've had our fair share of political and service delivery frustrations. Lynn was always the pillar of patience and strength in our office. I often think back to the office conversations in those times when we were being tested, and some of the key phrases that come to mind. I need to stop the recording on this. I'm gonna say, this kid is no longer, he's up in Ontario somewhere, right? One is, I could jump the guts out of that and break it out. And the next one, they should have been drowned as a pulp. Humor has always been part of our office and worked in a way to work through the issues. I'm sure you will agree. I'm sure, sorry to that one person who might be watching. I'm sure you will agree that Lynn's work ethic, knowledge, and no-nonsense approach has served the board and the residents of Eastern Region well. As always, there's a holiday or vacation plan to look forward to. I am sure Lynn and Ed will take full advantage of the freedom of retirement. Lynn, I wish you all the best in your plans and hope that you will continue to find a way to contribute as a female leader in Newfoundland and Labrador.
I'm not an emotional person, but
Oh, you're not.
that is.
You'll be crying. We're not finished yet. We gotta do roundtable.
Actually, I had something to say to.
You're going last.
Oh,
so on behalf of the board, there's a little gift.
Oh, boy.
For your time with us. And it's the keys to the new car. It'll slow it up. Regional service.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone.
I'm gonna start the roundtable. So 3.5 years ago, when I was appointed to the board, I remember meeting with Lynn and walking away going like, I think she was probably one of the most professional CAOs I've met in my travels, and I've done a lot of travels over the years with different boards. And I was excited to be part of this board, and I was excited to the future where we were going with this. And while we've had some great conversations and some couple of fights, which was kind of a theme tonight, we always ended up on the same page. You know, whether I was wrong or you were right, most times you were right. But we always managed to find common ground. We always managed to find a way forward on any of the issues. And you and I have traveled the country extensively.
Yes.
And you know, it's always, you always get to know someone really, really well when you spend 8 hours on a flight with them. You know, sitting next to them, you get to have those conversations, not just about regional service stuff, but about life and travels and family and importance of things. So I know you and Ed love to travel. I hope you get a chance to do some of this. I don't think it's the last we're going to see of you. I'm sure you'll be around. And if you ever need any guidance in your life on how to run an organization as a tough organization, which this is, reach out to Liz. She's a wealth of knowledge. She's a force to be reckoned with. And I'll leave it with that. I certainly appreciate your time with me.
And I appreciate work with you, Steve. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Yeah. Do I get now to be my missing?
No, we're gonna go this way now, we'll go round the table.
So I started with Lynn 13 years ago with the organization 13 years ago, and I was super enthusiastic and unable to hold my tongue for a minute, interrupted constantly. And as Steve mentioned, Lynn's professionalism and teaching me when to speak and when not to speak has, I think, led to a development that I couldn't have anticipated. And so her mentorship that way has been invaluable. Thank you.
Now I'm gonna go to Holly. Sorry, I'm not gonna go that way, because I'm gonna go to the staff. I'll let the staff say their piece first.
I was gonna leave my comments to Lynn for later, for another time.
Say one good thing nice.
I can't get it down to just one. I have been with the board since 2017. And much like Lynn, although not in the same circumstance, I started out as administrative assistant. She is a very huge reason, for why I'm here with Dolly Prize today. I have learned so much from her. A part of my roundtable notes was actually to express thanks for allowing me the opportunity to take part in the executive leadership program through CAMA last month, which is why I wasn't here at this meeting. But everything that they talked about and everything that they taught us and everything I experienced during that program, that training, all came back to Lynn. And it's been huge. I've never been in, I knew it was gonna happen. I've never been in a position for almost 9 years now, but I'm so glad that I'm here, and I'm so glad that I got to work for her. Thank you. Means a lot.
Great.
I'm the last one in, so I took Lynn's chair when they moved up to the big chair. So in the 6.5 years that she's been CAO, I learned a lot from Lynn is the more outspoken and more detail oriented than I'm, more quiet than the thinker. But I truly enjoyed I learned a lot from the discussions, the banter, the butting heads, the mentorship, the whole 9 yards after 6 years. So I jumped in right in the middle of that, of the ministerial directive. So I got my feet wet pretty quick, but it was how we handled it as a team that brought us all together. And I think that we're pretty tight now, and it's been a good couple of years.
Thank you.
No, sorry.
So, sincerely wish you all the best. You're certainly, leaving some big shoes to fill. And, I hope you, get to do lots of travel.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the travel.
Pleasure to work with you. We've gotten to know each other on a personal level as well. We've had some chocolates. We had some nice bounce back and forth.
They were both good.
I like to brag about all the strong women in my life. You're certainly one. Very proud to know you. And to work with you. I wish you nothing but the very best.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So I just want to start with, the next time we meet, we're making a big decision. And I was thinking about how this double axle trailer thing resonates in rural Newfoundland. And the decisions we make here impacts our public relations and our penetration and how the communities and the people community see us. So I think it's something that when we meet again, whether there's new proposals or we're voting on the same thing again, I think we need to realize that people at this table, no matter how it turns out, need to have a lens, a rural lens. Some of us are lucky enough that we have one foot in the rural, like Steve does and I do. We have double axle trailers and we have to walk around the day. A lot of us don't. And I just think that whoever, if you do that, take that into consideration. And I'm hoping, and again, I'm not echo everything everybody's saying, but I'm hoping that you will take the time to pen something that we can read into that meeting before we vote. Because like I said earlier, I really value your analysis, your opinion on the direction, how we should go. So it'd be nice to have that as a legacy piece when we make that next decision. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you so much.
I think I'm a pretty good judge character, and I knew the moment that I met you that I liked you, and that I really regretted that you were retiring because I had heard that at the same time. So I wish you the very best, and I'm sorry that I won't be working.
Thank you so much. I do plan to come back and visit, so I may just show up. I may be sitting in an observer chair sometime.
Well, you gotta be really. Every time it's gonna close out.
I'm gonna put or something. Thank you, Jennifer, I appreciate it.
That against it. My God, you were there when I walked in the door in Harrington School, where we had our first meeting.
Yeah.
And Ken was bouncing around up the walls, and you were there, cool, keep the place going. And certainly we took over from Canada, you they learned with us, and you had taught us over those years. Ken was there, and you took over with full confidence, and the whole expansion stuff, a different knowledge base. And it's been truly amazing to see how you've grown us. This board and their activities are much more mature than they were 5 years ago, even years ago. So a lot of credit to you, Lynn. And I'm gonna miss you. We've been working together a long time.
Long time.
And it won't be the same, that's for sure. But I do wish you all the best. I know you want to travel, but see the world and do that, enjoy it, and forget about us.
Thank you, Sandy. It's been a pleasure working with you over the past 17 years now. Yeah.
Well, I'm brand new. I really got to know you.
Yeah.
Most important person in my life is my mom. You strike me, and she's a very strong, outspoken lady, and she'll whip you right back into line and get out of it.
Yeah.
You remind me a lot of her.
Yeah.
I lost my dad 6 years ago. He didn't get the opportunity to retire and travel. And that's the one thing I wish he had always got to do. So to see you do what you want to do, while you can do it.
Yeah.
I commend you for it.
Thank you.
And I wish I got the opportunity to know you. So here it is.
I wish you all the best as well.
Congratulations.
Greg?
Thank you, sir. Lynn, been an absolute pleasure. I certainly hope that retirement treats you well and you get lots of good travel in. And don't be a stranger. It's always nice to reconnect, and I look forward to hearing some of those travel stories that you're going to tell us all about the Mediterranean and everywhere else. So take care, enjoy. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Charles?
And congratulations on your upcoming retirement as well.
Oh, big news. So, it's been a pleasure working with you, Lynn, here at the board, creating such a welcoming environment for us to come in here. As this, but also working with you as well, the broader waste management question with everybody else. And from us and my staff, I shared with them that you were retiring. Oh my God, I can't believe that you're retiring. But from them as well, I hope you have a great retirement and do lots of whatever it is you want to do. And then tell me about it real soon. I might make the same decision.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Glenn?
Of course, Lynn and I have a very long relationship. We met on January 28th, 2026. In tonight, so those long 6 hours that I've been in. Of course, when I hear people around the table, of course, I'm kidding, of course, but well, not this, that's true. Hearing people talk around the table, I really wish I could have spent more time working with you. I hate to see you retire. I mean, obviously, the comments so far, it exemplifies your hard work and dedication and position, your knowledge, and I wish you all the best in return. Yeah, get out there and see whatever you can see, travel wherever you can go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Goodbye.
That's another newbie. I just want to say thank you. You made me feel welcome. And I regret that we don't get to work together.
I feel the same way.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Well, I'll be honest,
You always are.
you're stubborn tenacity.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, go back to our original meetings with yourself and Ken, and Pepper was around, chair, and even then, your conviction and commitment to getting it done right was clear, even back in '09 when we started. One thing I do like the most is black and white, here it is, here's how I feel. Because I know you've done your homework, I know you're confident and capable in what you're doing and what you're saying. And your conviction and commitment to the organization is unwavering. And I think it's with that tenacity, you sit at the table, you sit at the leadership table, and you try to make fair, balanced decisions. When a lot of these decisions in your 17 years have been very tough decisions, lacking provincial support, lacking support from municipalities, but believing in the cause of the organization is why we are where we are today. So thank you for your leadership, and I do wish you well on your travels. If you show up back here, we are gonna kick you out. You need to find a better hobby than hanging around this table.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
What can I say? I've known you.
I'm talking.
I'm talking now, so I watch your rise and ranks, again, like, you know, just to come down on what everyone said here, like, you know, you've been second to none to all of us here on this board. You know, we watched you go from, was it administrative assistant first?
I think it was project coordinator, was official title.
Yeah, I'll let the CEO, so, you know, it's great that people get the opportunity to say, I had enough. Time for me to do what I want to do now, do it on my time. Well, congratulations, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for us.
Lynn, I've only known you like others for a couple of months, but it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and to see your leadership thrive. It's evident that you've made quite the impact in your role, not only on the board, but also in people's lives. So I'm sure that will be missed, and I'm sad I don't get the chance to work with you, but I know that your strong conviction and power, fierceness will live on. And of course, that's always, as a young woman entering into this world, it's really nice to have role models like that. So best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much.
And it's 5 short years, so 5 good years.
Yes.
When I got appointed to the board 5 years ago, a good friend of mine, Ben Grant.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, Lynn would never steer you wrong. And I got used to calling you and asking your opinion, and everybody else said, it was always no bullshit. You got the answer, and you got to know exactly what it was, and I certainly appreciate that. Everyone I know talks to you, says how well you work. And when you want to travel, you travel really from Mount Pearl, good luck to you.
If you got 3 of them.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
So I think I might be the only female member of council here tonight that was here previous. So coming onto this board, as a new, I'll say female councillor, because I think there are some differences. I felt supported on this board. I felt like I belong on this board. I always have had the feeling that, like others have said, that you wouldn't lead us astray and that your opinion was valued. Also, there were many times in the last year when I would sit at this table and it would be as many people or more, and I'd look around the room and I would be the only female member of council sitting in this room. And I always couldn't help but feel that, you know, it's nice to have the representation at higher levels, and having all of you, including the men, but having strong female leadership at this table has made a huge difference, especially in those moments when you look around and think, oh boy, like, you know, what have I got myself into? So I really appreciate that. And I've really enjoyed our talks during lunch. We've always had some really nice chats about family and things like that. So I appreciate you sharing those details with me, and just have the best time traveling. Just to see all the things and do all the things.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, Lynn, I only know you for a short while, but anyway, I just got, Danny, I gotta tell you a story.
How'd you drag me into it?
You need to be dragged into that.
All right.
And it's something to be said for, you know. I was elected to House of Assembly in 2013. And I couldn't wait to get in there, we say, to see my new boss, which was Kathy Dunderdale. She left before I got in there. I just got there and you're. It got to be bad, Carol. It got to be bad, Carol. But anyway, I know you for a little while now, all the trouble we had in Cardinal and everything.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like you've been super, and I've heard Glenn Clark talk about you many times, and he was past board member, and I'd like to say congratulations. Enjoy all your traveling you're going to do, and I wish you very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Lynn,
Oh.
2009,
2009.
and when I first went on the board, you were there then as whatever that role was, project manager or officer, or whatever it was. And those were the days before this board format. That was back when it was really, took us a while to figure out exactly what it was we were doing.
Exactly.
And Ken Kelly was there then, and when Ken left, I remember that we were looking at hiring a new CEO. And Lynn hadn't applied. And myself and Harold Maloney were having a chat. Said, I don't know why Lynn is not applying for the job. Said, well, let's get her in here and see why she isn't. And so we said, why aren't you? And we had a chat, and she finally said, yeah, well, I'll think about it. Anyway, she put in her application, and she became the new CAO of the organization. It was a great hire. She was a leader, and we always had that stable voice. And the people that said during volatile times, we had volatile times. We had meetings in the Confederation building that.
Yeah. Even here they were volatile.
Came to blows that day.
Oh, yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
And we had meetings, I remember we had town hall meetings. We had.
I remember one at the Delta where.
One at the Delta.
From the.
Angry.
Yeah.
But through it all, you can always rely on Lynn to be the stabilizing force of the whole thing. But one of the things that I really enjoyed was on Fridays. So every second Friday, I get a message to come over and sign checks. So I go over and I'd sit down with myself and Lynn, and I take the checks and review them and sign them. And we'd have a chat about what was going on in politics, in the world, families, and those became a nice chat that we had every couple of weeks. Craig became part of them as well, and it was something that I'll always remember, and we always appreciated your support, because there was a few times I was there that things were not going great, and you were able to perk me back up and pat me on the head and send me on my way. So I really appreciate everything, and I appreciate your work, and I think one of the biggest compliments is from your staff in the work that you've done with them and helping them elevate themselves. And that's truly a great leader. So congratulations to you and Ed, and I hope you enjoy all your travel and enjoy yourself. And I think too, I don't know if you knew, but Lynn also had a job in politics that was very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
did that for.
You did that for 9 years with a very popular politician, MP, loyal to her. And that was you learned a lot from a great person. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for the kind comments. I would not be in this position today if it weren't for Danny Reed and Harold Maloney at that time, but certainly Danny. I did prepare a little note because I don't trust myself. I'm pretty emotional right now. So I knew I would be if I was expecting you had something up your sleeve, because you weren't asking me much today. So what I wanted to say to the members of the board is, as I prepare to retire, which Friday's my last day, I find myself reflecting on the past 16 plus years with deep appreciation. It has been an extraordinary privilege to work alongside you and to be part of an organization guided by such committed, thoughtful, and principled leadership. The board chairs before me and all board members have been absolutely wonderful to work with. Thank you for the trust you've placed in me, the guidance you've offered, the steady support you've shown me throughout my tenure as your CAO. Your dedication to the board's mandate and vision has not only strengthened the organization, but has inspired me personally and professionally. I'm profoundly grateful for the opportunities I've had to learn, to lead, and to contribute in meaningful ways. The work we've done together has been amongst the most rewarding chapters of my career, and I've had a long, and I've changed careers many times. For people who don't know me, I've done everything from teaching post-secondary work for an MP. I've done this, and I've had other leadership roles in private industry. But this has been by far by far the most rewarding position I've held. Please accept my heartfelt thanks for your partnership, your encouragement, and your unwavering support. I will always carry with me the lessons, relationships, and memories from these years. A lot of them were tough. Even since you've come, we've gone through some tough periods. But I've never been one to run from a challenge. I mean, I not that I enjoy that. To a point. But I don't run from a challenge. I enjoy a challenge, and I enjoy being able to find solutions and to find common ground with people. And thank you for all your kind wishes and the kind things that you've said. I've been able to be a good leader because I do have a good staff behind me. And I think anybody who's in the leadership role knows you're only as good as the team behind you. The team we have, all the staff, they have been with us for a long, long time. I think 13 years. And probably we've hired 2 new girls in the past year. But before that, like it's 5+ years for most of our staff. So staff retention is really high, which is something I'm proud of. And I would like to thank them as well. I'll be doing that on Friday before I blow up. Be talking to my staff for sure. But thank you to everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. And I wish the board all the best as you proceed with the objectives that you've got laid out. And the work is valuable and necessary. So thank you.
Fun fact, Lynn Tucker's name is in my phone log, probably 5 times more than my wife and my mother's log. Just so you all know. You wanna talk about how many times I've been talking? I didn't wanna call her today because I didn't want to upset her.
It's been an emotional week, and I'm not an emotional person, anybody who knows me. But this week has been a bag of mixed feelings, that's for sure.
Another fun fact, Lynn went to school with my older brother and worked with my younger brother as chief of staff for Loyola Hearn. So, and now me, so what a thrill it must be to work. Because there's only 3 of us, so.
I've had the pleasure of knowing all 3 of you, yeah.
I guess
You will be missed.
Pardon me?
I guess the third line wasn't China.
Holly needs 1 second there, go ahead, Holly.
I have 2 points that I wanted to remind everybody. First is today is Pink Shirt Day, anti-bullying day. So while we encourage passionate discussion, please don't be a bully. And second is if you did not attend the orientation meeting that we had on January 19th, please see me before you leave. Thank you.
All right, that's for new people, by the way.
No.
Motion to adjourn, second by Thomas, all in favor?
It's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Oh, was it? Motion to adjourn, second by Thomas, all those in favor, good, okay.
Longest meeting in history.
What?
I will be meeting with these email.
I'm trumpeting.
And I made it, I worked with the